been 2 weeks. 2 weeks with no Rage Select podcasts. I don't know how anybody was able to stand it. I could
really
barely stand it.
strange.
This last Sunday, I was just walking around, just podcasting to myself in my house. I was just like, "Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Jeff." I was just mostly my dog was sitting there, and I was just telling him all the news of the week of video games, and he was just looking at me like, "Is it time to go out?" And I was like, "No, this is a podcast."
You're like, why do you keep saying unsubscribe? You don't speak English.
Yes, exactly. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. I am Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And yes, I just as a quick public service announcement, next week, I believe John and I are going to sit down and actually do best games we played in 2018.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at everything that I got. There's a couple that I didn't finish, but I'm kind of at this point feeling like I'd have to force myself to finish a few games. Like, I recognize that Octopath Traveler is a good game, but I'm kind of bored of it. Like,
okay.
I that's why I totally finished Smash, was because, okay, quick segue before we get into that. So I went to Ohio to visit my parents for Christmas. It was very nice, a little time off, even though I was editing that Skyrim video and all that stuff while I was up there, Just Dance. But I got back, and I got back the day before New Year's Eve. It was the Sunday right before New Year's Eve was on a Monday, right? And then New Year's Day was on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, all right, okay, I'm going to drink a beer. I'm gonna drink a few beers. I'm going to just hang out, chill out from the big drive. Tomorrow I'm going to get back to everything, and then we're going to go. And so I don't know if a lot of people know this, but my house has carpeted steps. And I was going down the steps, and I was going a little quickly, and my foot literally slipped out from underneath me, and like a cartoon, I fell on my butt, and then fell like bam, 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 down like 4 steps on my butt. Like I was literally like bouncing on the steps down one butt. And the result is what they call a bruised tailbone.
A fractured ass.
A fractured ass. I literally butt hurt this week. I'm not even emotionally butt hurt. I am physically butt hurt. And Michael, allow me to just say to you that if you've never had this particular condition happen to you before, it sucks. Because you can't do anything. I can't wrap my ass in bandages to make it feel better. All I can do is sit on a pillow and take ibuprofen. And for the first 4 days, I could barely sit down. And so I ended up just laying in bed on my stomach playing Smash Brothers on my Switch, because like that was literally the only thing I could do.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it sucks. And it sucks double because we're coming back. I got a bunch of new things that I want to do in 2019. And most of my life involves sitting. It involves sitting down and doing things. Sitting down and playing games, sitting down and editing videos, sitting
like
down
a
and
monkey paw.
Yeah. It's like the worst. It's the worst.
You're like, there's time now while your ass hurts so
Right.
bad.
No, that was like that week after I got back, because we recorded like mad all the way up until I left, and then I spent a week at my parents' house, and there was all this socializing, hanging out with my parents, talking, doing stuff, and I got home, and it was like that Twilight Zone episode. Finally, there's time. Like I have 1 week to just be cool, and then like it's like nope, bitch, nope. You're gonna fucking. I was gonna quit smoking. But the only thing I could do to alleviate my ass pain was to take ibuprofen, and you can't really drink when you're taking ibuprofen. So I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, and I couldn't sit down. It lasted for about 1 day, and I was like, you know what, life? You can fucking eat it until February. I'm going to smoke until February because I got to have one thing that I like that I can do.
Jesus.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm well rested and I'm back. And,
that's good.
Outside of my butt, I've got a lot of stuff. We got some plans coming up in 2019. So more on that when I'm just going to be very vague about it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a Taco Bell sponsorship.
Oh.
As much as we've tried over the years.
So Taco Cabana then.
We tried. Well, then we tried to move it over to like Wiener Schnitzel because we figured, hey, that's low hanging fruit, right? What do they got? They need a mascot. What about 2 puppets that just put corn dogs in their felt holes? But no. How were your holidays?
It was fine. I got an NES Classic.
Oh, there you go.
For Christmas, as well as a Back to the Future Mr. Fusion car charger.
Okay.
It takes up a cup holder, but that's pretty nice.
Is it like like USB powered, or does it go into your cigarette lighter?
Yeah, it goes in the cigarette lighter, and then it has the USBs.
Does it let you travel through time for real?
No, well, that's what that was.
Because I want to go back in time and
that wasn't what Mr. Fusion was for, though.
Oh, right.
It just powered the
So you just put
that part.
like
put
banana
trash in it.
peels and
Yeah.
old beer and
Powers
stuff.
my phone.
Okay, that's good. There you go. There you go.
I also leveled up technically yesterday.
Oh, it's your birthday. It was your birthday yesterday.
That was my birthday yesterday.
Oh my God! Here I've been droning on and on about my ass. Happy birthday to Michael.
I'm new and improved. I have a hat now. I'm just kidding.
You've always had a hat.
I always had a hat.
Don't pull this. I have a hat now.
It's
bullshit.
a different color. I'm just kidding.
So you got a hat? For your birthday?
I bought a Spider-Man comic for my birthday.
Okay.
And I did nothing all day yesterday.
That sounds like a really good present to me.
Yeah, the actual, celebration, is something that I accidentally planned next week, which is Dragon Ball Supers.
Oh.
That movie comes out on Wednesday.
Right. Okay.
My friend bought the tickets for it, so we're just going to make a day of it.
Okay. Tell you what, I'll tell you this right now. All right, happy birthday. This is not the greatest gift of all time. You may take one video game from the video games that you see in the house that you are in right now.
Okay.
Anyone you want. I don't care. I'll just, if I need it, I'll buy another copy. You know, I got tired of waiting for somebody to give God of War back to me, and it was on sale for $30. And I was just like, yep, sure, yep, go.
I will figure that out later.
Okay. Great. Well, we have a very strange group of news coming back. There was like a kind of like a lot of news, but then when I started actually looking at it, I was like, it's kind of a lot of news, but it's not like, I don't know. There are a few things in here worth talking about, but a lot of the stuff, it was like, I don't know, the HTC is putting out a new version of the Vive, and I'm just kind of like, is it $100? Because
is the Vive still a thing?
Yeah, apparently. So we've got some real kind of like good news, bad news situations going on here. So let's just dive right in with the stickiest of all situations. Let's dive into the lake full of honey. I don't know if you know this story, Michael.
I don't.
About Overwatch. So Overwatch. Oh boy, this one's a real. This one's just a mess. It just smells bad from start to finish. So let me tell you the story in the chronological order that I heard it.
Okay.
So there's a team that is called the Second Wind, and they lost a player, right? And so they were looking for a new player to be on their team. And so they went to the national ranked Overwatch like leaderboards, right? And they found this player named quote unquote Ellie. And they were like, "Oh, you're like number 4. We want you on our team." And Ellie was like, "Yes, I would love to be on your team." But there was some weirdness going on. Most of the people who do Overwatch will tell you their real names, right?
Yeah.
She was only going by this alias. A lot of people thought there was some jankiness, but then so here we're gonna get into this, and this is weird. There was a certain subsection of the internet that was like, something's fishy with this bitch. We are going to dox her. And so they set about like trying to figure out who she was, because it seemed like when she was playing that like her voice comms were coming too late, like her commentary was coming too late. And so the idea was, she's not real. She's basically like a beard for another player that is like playing, and then she's just doing the commentary over what he's doing. And like, because she hadn't really been very public, the people were like, we're going to get to the bottom of who she is. We're going to like go find her, right? Which is gross and
it's weird,
blech, right? Now the Second Wind, the team, they were like looking into her background, and they had like wanted her to do kind of like a public engagement thing, and she said that she declined, and they were like, yeah, we understand, like, you know, it's rough, like you're gonna get out there, people are just gonna be all up in your biz, whatever. But then invariably, and then she quit. And she just said, she posted sorry on her Twitter timeline. And so this is where I came into this story, because the story was, first female Overwatch League player is basically like doxxed and harassed out of the league until she just quits.
Yeah.
Right? Then it happened.
Then the M. Night Shyamalan part happened?
No. They were right.
Oh.
She wasn't playing. There was another player called Shadow that was doing a quote-unquote social experiment by essentially fronting this one lady as Ellie and then playing her games for her, like, in the background.
Huh.
And so, oh my God, does this suck?
That's, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where, because like, man, you know what? Like, I don't like the idea of doxing people, right? But on the other hand, if you sign up to be an Overwatch League, like I kind of feel like there's going to be an expectation of privacy that you have as an individual in the world that you may not be able to continue having if you decide. Like at some point, let's say that Second Wind got on Overwatch League, she was going to have to be on camera sitting there playing the game in front of the world.
It
right?
wasn't going to happen, is what it was going on here.
Right, exactly. So it was like a short-term con.
This isn't Simone with fucking Al Pacino. Shit was not going to work out very well.
Yeah. So it sucks because it's like, oh fuck, the people who are doing a thing that I don't really like, they actually this time had the right idea. It's like but they exposed this thing, but for like all the wrong reasons. But if they hadn't done it, because like I said, there was a slew of websites that were running this one story about like, see how toxic gaming is that you can't even be a lady or else you'll just get badgered out of the whole Overwatch League. And it's like, oh, you fucks. Like,
you fake gamer girl there actually existed one time.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Like the one time that you didn't want it to be fake and it was, oh, God
Fuck.
damn it.
This is bad.
So I don't really have a lot to say about this outside of like a lot of Second Wind is coming out and they've apologized. Well, okay. So when she first left, they put out this statement that was like, saying that like a lot of people, it seemed like when they put her on the team that everybody wanted had weird expectations, like the people who were looking into her and doxing her, they were treating her like she was this horrible villain, and then her supporters were treating her like she was fucking Jesus, like and God. So that everybody had these like enhanced expectations. And they were defending her at first, and then of course later they've now come out and been like, "Hey, yeah, we need to do our vetting like way better." Overwatch has come out and basically Blizzard has come out and made a statement on this, basically saying we did verify that this was a person basically like smurfing on another account, and that this is not something that we condone, and et cetera, et cetera.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Did you ever watch a pup named Scooby-Doo?
No,
Fred always accused his friend Red Herring of being the bad guy.
Oh.
And the one time he decided not to claim it was Red Herring, it turned out to be Red Herring. So that's what this is. This is that point where now everyone's going to be like, but maybe this time still.
Yeah. Yeah, it really blows. Like it just blows, and I don't like it, and I don't really have very much more to say about it than that, because
it's
what I really
don't know what to say either.
At the end of the day, what I really come down to is fuck Shadow. Fuck the guy who did this in the first place, because like
his name's Shadow. Of course he's a terrible person.
It's just like a hedgehog. He's got those guns and everything. Anyway, I don't know. I like it's weird because yeah, I think I've said it. I'm just going to end up repeating myself. It's bad to dox people what they don't want to be doxed. However, if you do enter into something as public as Overwatch League, right, like you're kind of signing away part of your privacy. It's kind of like when somebody decides to open themselves into a public space, and then it turns out that they're a real shit person,
yeah,
right? Well, milkshake duck kind of thing, right?
Oh,
where
yeah.
It's like you have a certain, like I give up a certain amount of my privacy because I fucking yammer on all the live long day about like where I am. What I was even thinking about last week where you and I did that podcast. I'm like, I don't know if I should be so emphatic about saying on a podcast that I'm like leaving my house for a week and there's not going to be on a show where I have like all this audio visual equipment in my house,
a billion different things.
Yeah.
And you talked about how much you love your new TV.
Right, my new 4K TV, and then I was just I wouldn't shut the fuck up about. But like you have to say that yes, I mean I think that people should have a degree of privacy, and I do think that we give up more of our privacy than I feel we should, but I'm 40 and I'm old, and so whatever. However, there are certain times when you enter the public discourse where you are giving up part of your... It's like if you wanted to be an actor but wanted to have complete privacy when you weren't in a movie, and it'd be like, well, bro, you could have been an office manager at like Best Buy.
You can be a voice actor,
right? Yeah, you could be a lot of different things. If you didn't want people following you around, but if you want fame, you're gonna have to take some of the bad parts that come with that. And I guess that's the only thing here is that I don't know. I just hope that it doesn't keep other women who may want to go play Overwatch professionally out of it, right?
It's a bad situation that is going to cause some issues down the line for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, was
she using Ash?
What's that?
Were they using Ash?
No, I think she was using like Doomfist.
Oh, okay.
And a few, but anyway, well, let's move on from one hateful, spite-filled multiplayer game to another hateful, spite-filled multiplayer game. Destiny 2 is in the news this week. I don't know if you read about this, but Destiny 2 had this expansion called the Black Armory, where it was like a quest chain where at the very end, there was like a puzzle for people to solve. I don't know exactly what the puzzle was, but where a certain number of people would be let in like every hour to try to solve this puzzle. And it was apparently really difficult, and people were having a really hard time doing it. And so Bungie just said, okay, and they just took that puzzle out.
Oh, geez.
And people are now just able to like finish out this quest chain, which is a really weird thing because it's like, well, on the one hand, I mean, it sucks that somebody would pay for like an expansion and then not be able to beat it because you put a fucking redonkulously hard puzzle at the end of it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, people get real mad when they're like working on something that they think that they can solve, and then you're just like, haha, just kidding. JK, bro. I don't really play Destiny 2. I think it's kind of interesting, though, the idea. I feel like there have been a lot of games, though, in the past that have had, like, Fez had a lot of kind of, like, weird, like, crowdsourcing, kind of trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
And as near as I could tell, it seems like this puzzle didn't stay up for very long before they were just like, nope. And then, and I don't know if it was a random thing where it was like it was going to change once somebody unlocked it, but it kind of seems like the thing to me that I think, leave that in there, man. Let the internet bang its head up against it. People who play Destiny
they're very tight-knit.
Yeah, they're pretty fanatical about playing Destiny, so yeah, let them work together and see what they could do. I don't know.
They would have come up with something.
Or,
if it was punch it harder, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. click in the L3 button really hard this time. Or at least maybe leave it up for like a month. And then if nobody's solved it, maybe put a countdown timer on it so that if nothing happens, then it just opens or whatever.
Or like a hint somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff that you probably could have done outside of just being like, just kidding. But that's actually the very minor Destiny 2 news this week.
Oh.
We have some major Destiny 2 news that dropped, I believe, today.
Are they calling it Manifest Destiny 3?
No. Yeah, no, this is, as of the day that we're taping this, Bungie and Activision are splits.
Oh, really?
Yep. Bungie has left their partnership with Activision, and they're taking all of Destiny 2 with them.
How did they pull that off?
Well, they hold the rights. I mean, I'm sure that it was in the contact. I'm sure that after Bungie and their experience with Microsoft about Halo, that when Activision went to get them, that they were like, we own this shit, right? Like, you can do whatever you want to, but our company owns the rights to this IP. We're not going to do this thing again where we make a company an IP that gives them zillions of dollars, and at the end of the day, they're just like, all right, bye-bye, see ya, we're going to keep this.
Still pretty shocking, though.
Yeah, but apparently, a little while back, there was some scuttlebutt where Activision apparently, was kind of talking public shit about Bungie.
Oh, geez.
Because of the sales figures on Destiny 2, which, Destiny 2 didn't really do quite as good as Destiny 1. There was a lot of stuff about, the microtransaction store, the silver, and I feel like some of the people who were interested in Destiny 1 saw what Destiny 1 was, and then were kind of like, you can keep it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I've always got the impression that Destiny 2 sold well, but not as well as a really greedy motherfucking company like Activision wants, the most sales. So yeah, I don't know. Apparently they're doing everything that they can to make sure that this move is seamless, and that it's not going to affect players or progression or anything like that. But they're striking out, and I think that or not like 3 strikes and you're out, but they're striking out on their own, with this IP. And I think I don't know, it's going to be interesting. It
is interesting. It's because it's one thing for them to leave, it's another thing for them to take this big IP that they worked on with them.
Yeah.
Because it's honestly, the fact that when they joined Activision, we all figured that Activision was going to do some shady shit to hang on to Destiny. But they're just like, yeah, we don't fucking care. Like, here, just take your shit and go.
Well, it brings up a really interesting question, which is how much influence did Activision have over Bungie's development direction when it came to Destiny? And is it possible that Destiny will become like a better game because they'll like take out the microtransactions or maybe just do things like the shaders, in Destiny 2,
oh, yeah.
you can only use them one time. They're like consumable instead
so
of
dumb.
an equip. Yeah, like maybe they'll just change that and just be like, hey, everybody, have shaders for all, right?
Shaders for everyone.
Yeah. No longer do you have to worry about running around with one piece of armor the wrong color because you ran out of the fucking shaders that you need.
I literally just never used the shaders when I played Destiny 2 for a little bit.
Man,
I was like, I'm just going to be mismatched as fuck.
Yeah. Just some World of Warcraft, like pink pauldrons and green shoes and like a turquoise armor. And
by the time I was done, I think I had red arms, blue legs, like a brown chest. I looked awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
My head was gold too for some fucking reason. It was really weird.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds about right. I mean, I actually really liked that, but I liked the fact that in Destiny 1, it was like you got those shaders like way later in the game, or like midway through the game. I think you got like one, but then like you could buy them,
and they were forever though. Like whatever you wore was the shader.
Well, it was an equip slot instead of a consumable.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it will be really, really interesting to see. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. Like, Destiny 2 had a lot of like PSN timed exclusive content. Like, was that relationship with Sony Activision or was it Bungie?
It's really interesting because this probably is it's probably one of the biggest things to leave a company probably ever.
Yeah.
At least as far as I can think of.
You don't normally see the sort of thing where they get to walk away with a big franchise. Like, I would think that Activision would have fought tooth and fucking nail, or I find it crazy that Activision would let him go. I mean, the only thing I can think of is
spent a lot of money on the first one.
Maybe Bungie signed like a really ironclad contract with them because of their experience with Microsoft that had like, some serious motherfucking out clauses, and Activision was being shitty with them, but they were just like, you know what? Fucking ba-doom.
Maybe it's the talk shit clause. You talk shit about us, we get to go.
The talk shit get hit clause.
Damn it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I think it would be really fascinating if like 8 months from now, Destiny 2 was like the best like service-based video game that you could just get, and like
I'd be shocked if I got that much better.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean they have people that bought like a yearly pass, right, for Destiny 2. Didn't they sell like an annual pass that gave you like all of the stuff that you could get in a year?
I don't know, to be honest, on that one. I know there is all like the super passes and everything, but I don't really know what those entail.
Yeah. Well, last but not least, it's going to stay on Battle.net on the PC, apparently, even though they're no longer with Blizzard Activision anymore. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if that makes any difference. I, for one, like every time that, what's that dumb BioWare game? Anthem.
Anthem.
Every time Anthem comes up, I always think about like, there was no reason that Destiny had to not be fun. Like, it could have been a fun game.
It's like half fun for me. I'm like, this feels really good, but I hate everything else about this.
So, I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. I don't know. Maybe so. Well, let's just, we've been through Blizzard, we've been through Activision. Let's just run down the hit parade of the usual suspects that we like to hammer on, or not that we like to hammer on, but that just keep doing stupid shit. And let's move on to Bethesda. So, hey, this is a real good news, bad news situation, all right? So, apparently Bethesda has decided that if you own Fallout 76 and played it at any point in 2018, they'll give you Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics on the PC, regardless of whether you played it on the console, any console, or the PC. You can basically redeem that chip to get access to those games.
Huh.
Personally, hey, that's nice, but it wasn't exactly like, it's not exactly like Fallout 1 costs a lot of money on Steam, or that like it's hard to get access to. Is it still on Steam?
As far as I figured it should be, but
because I think the last time I played it was on Steam, but
it's not exactly the gift that it's going to make up for all of your other shit
that keeps on giving. Yeah, it's like, here, have some garbage. No, Fallout.
We found this in our closet. Here, it's for free.
Let's see, Fallout 4, New Vegas 3 VR. Okay, so here's Fallout is $10. Fallout 2 is $10, and Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel is $10. So
it's a $30 value.
$30 value for $0.
Easy payment of $99.95.
I mean, it's kind of weird too for me. Oh, you can buy the whole collection for $20. Actually.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to me because I'm like, do you really want to be giving people the original Fallout? They're going to go play the original Fallout? Be like, oh, yeah.
I remember when this game was good.
This is what I really liked about this game. Shit.
So what does the free Frogurt come with?
What's that?
What does the free Frogurt come with?
Frogurt?
Did you ever watch that Simpsons episode?
No.
The good new bad news thing? It's like, it comes with a free Frogurt. That's good, but it has cyanide, potassium as the sprinkles. Well, that's bad.
Oh, that's bad. Okay, well, yeah, let's get on to the bad part. The bad part is that apparently, okay. So apparently people were putting on mods on Fallout 76. Right? And apparently those people got banned for having mods on the game. And so those people appealed their bans to Bethesda, and they were like, hey, no, I want to get back on and play your game. And apparently the Bethesda wrote several people got a note from Bethesda that said, an email that said something along the words of, quote, if you would like to appeal this account closure, we would be willing to accept an essay on why the use of third-party cheat software is detrimental to an online gaming community for our management team to review. So to unban your account, Bethesda wants you to write an essay about why mods are shitty and bad and you shouldn't use them like you're in fucking middle school. And I'm like, I mean, this game costs $60, right? I mean, now I think it's like 30, right?
But it keeps going down.
But that people paid money for this game, and while look, man, if this was Destiny and people were writing mods for Destiny and they were like, you're banned, that's fine. Bethesda has a mod store. Bethesda has an interface for mods for not for Fallout 76, but like Bethesda games have been very mod friendly over the years, and to suddenly be like, I mean, and I don't know if it was a thing where it was like some of those like Metal Gear 5 hacks where people were just like duping nukes or whatever.
Oh yeah, they're just making it infinite nukes.
Yeah, like that would be one thing, but is that what happened here? And can I even trust you anymore, Bethesda? Like there was a whole story about the Nuka rum over the holidays where they did something.
Oh yeah,
and it was stupid, and I was like, no, I don't even want to keep hammered
like
on
a
them.
Terrible bottle or something. Like every time they came out with something that was based on this new game, it was half-assed as possible.
Right. But like write an essay to get your account unbanned. Who the fuck do you think you are? Like I'm the consumer, bro. I pay your salary with money. Like no. You give me a refund is the answer to that question.
Are they all like mods that involve cheating though?
I don't really know. At this point, I'm not entirely certain.
Because I know some people just use mods to make the game look better.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem is that like if it was something like that, I would almost expect it to be like called a hack rather than a mod.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I don't really know. So at least according to the news story that I'm looking at, I mean, it's possible that there might be more information out there, and I didn't have a chance to really look it up. The one guy though who like basically said brought this to light was a YouTuber called Juicehead, and I don't
seems trustworthy.
Well, the thing is that Juicehead, I actually went to his YouTube channel, and like every single video he has is about Fallout. Like his channel is devoted to nothing but Fallout.
Oh, geez.
It's Fallout. I mean,
he's so much.
There's every single video is about Fallout 76, like that's on here. Here's one brand new mods of the past week.
Oh, he does all Fallouts because this is 4 at this point.
I think you're down to 4. Like he's very much a Fallout central Fallout person.
Yeah.
So, in any case, Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that even if you were cheating, the condescending attitude of write an essay about why mods are wrong and send it back to us, even if you were being a dick face, I'm like, just ban them, give them a 2-month ban, and say if you do it again, you get more. But write an essay. It's just like.
I'm just curious if somebody reads them.
It would be different if Bethesda was like a very virtuous company with all their legs to stand on. But over the last 2 or 3 months, it's like slightly changes the difficulty. You're not telling anybody. The canvas bag, like all these different things that have been happening with Fallout 76. It's like, guys, I don't think you have a moral high ground to be preaching at people about, especially because, as I said, Bethesda literally created a mod store interface for Skyrim and Fallout 4, and then they put mods on there that were paid. You paid Bethesda in coins to get the mods off the store. Like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's just crazy to me. Like, whose idea was, hey, you should write an essay? Is there like a dude there with an English degree who just wants some practice to grade these, or what's going on here?
What I think it is I've run into this a few times before. Is if you're in a, and I this is pure speculation. I'm completely not saying this is a thing. Is that I feel like sometimes in help desk / community forum departments, or in just companies as a whole, you get so insular inside of your company. Or, let's say that you're a customer service person who's dealt with, like, the customer data hack, the canvas bags, Nuka Rum, the I want a refund, people just being shitty to you all the live long day, and then you ban somebody for what they should be banned for, and then they come at you and you're just like, all right, write me an essay, I guess. Like, I've had enough of you, internet. I'm at the end of my rope. I mean, that's always what it is, right? Is it some community manager that they trot out and they're just like, this person just got too big for their britches. We're firing them and bringing somebody else in. But still.
It's still really weird.
If I was Bethesda right now, I think I'd be on like high fucking alert for like, can we just go a week without anything going wrong over here?
That's the thing, is they half-ass everything. I think they half-ass their red alerts. So
like, when you submit a trouble ticket, you could see all the internal memos.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that as the holidays have gone on, I have had just less than zero interest in playing Fallout 76 even a little bit.
Any interest I had keeps going down every time something happens to it.
I mean, it's not even that. It's just that, like, I keep thinking, like, man, maybe. And then I go, no, I could be playing better games.
Yeah, there's that too, actually.
Like, there were a lot of games that came out last year I didn't get a chance to play. One of those games was Smash Brothers. And there's actually a rumor going around that they think that they might have figured out who the other DLC character for the Season 1 DLC is going to be.
Is it Shrek? I knew it.
Is it what?
Is it Shrek?
Is it Shrek? No, it's not. Shrek. It's not Shrek. So they found some code for a label for fighters, and it's like fighter _kind _ and then there's Jack, Brave, and Paku. And Paku is the piranha plant.
Yeah.
And Jack is Persona 5, is Joker from Persona 5. But then the last one being Brave, there's some kind of like ninjutsu that's going around here, but the end result is that they think that it might be Erdrick from Dragon Quest.
Huh.
Which, as somebody who just got done fucking manhandling the World of Light, I'm like, I feel like you got enough guys with swords, bro. You got like Crom and Robin and
half of them are Fire Emblem characters.
Yeah, yeah. Got a lot of Fire Emblem characters. What got swords in there? I'm not super familiar with Erdrick outside of the mentions of Erdrick in the first Dragon Quest, but I don't know. It would be interesting to see. It would be interesting.
I want to be upset. The Brotherhood of Sword People welcomes another swordman.
Yeah, especially because I don't like who's that guy from Xenoblade Chronicles? Shulk. Everybody. So one of the things that I learned after I played a shitload of Smash Brothers is that I really appreciate their online spectator mode,
Oh,
because you just go to online, you just hit spectate, and like with no menus and no nothing, it just starts showing you people fighting. Like shows you what country they're in, and you just watch matches. You just put it on in the background and let it go and watch people fight. Lots of shulks. Every time I see a shulk or a Ganon or a King K. Rool, I'm just like, boo, go Pikachu. So
he's a top tier with his non-shirt wearing outfits.
It's the whole way that he switches between different modes, and
it used to be a lot worse though back in the other ones.
Yeah,
he was. It was harder to switch between stuff too in the other ones.
Oh, okay.
It made it easier.
Yeah. So I don't know. Erdrick, I mean, they'd be pretty cool. There was one of these that was one of the potentials people were talking about was like the Doom Marine from.
I'd be cool with that,
Doom
but I doubt it.
2016.
If it happens, I will use the fuck out of him. But
this is a little bizarre.
Especially if he has a flick off button.
What's that?
Especially if he had a flick off taunt.
What does that mean?
If he like flicked people off.
Oh,
like that would be amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Speaking of really good games that came out last year, there was a story that came out a little while back talking about potential DLC for God of War, where Cory Balrog talked about a thing that he wanted to do. And this is really not very much of a story outside of like I still really like God of War. Where he talked about, quote, I had a really fun idea for a DLC that I only regret because I would have loved to have done that, but it was too ambitious. And apparently when they started looking at it, they realized it would be like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy or like Infamous First Light or like Undead Nightmare. Like it was going to be like a whole other game. And I'm like, dude, I would have like, especially around the holidays, I would have fucking killed for like a $30 huge ass expansion to God of War.
People would have bought the shit out of that too.
Yeah, I was. I finally got God of War back, like I said, and because I wanted to see what it looked like in 4K, and I plugged it in and I started up New Game Plus, and Kratos went to go chop down that tree, and I was just like, I can't do this, man. I can't. If I start this, I'm gonna play all the way fucking through it again. I can't fucking do that.
You turn back and you're pale with the thing on your face.
Yep.
You're like, boy.
But, this week we've had a lot of weirdness that has happened in the console realm. But there's some weirdness that's happened in the Steam realm. So there was a game that came out last year called Wandersong, which I was actually looking at. It was on a bunch of lists of like shit you may not have played in 2018 that was really cool.
Oh, okay.
Where it's kind of like a little cartoonish bard that sings his way through all the situations. And there's like this weird, you've got this weird little color wheel around the outside that you switch between different songs. I haven't played it yet, but I kind of want to check it out at some point for Rage Slide. So apparently Valve opened an investigation into this company because it was so well received that they couldn't believe that it wasn't manipulating the store rankings and stuff.
Huh.
And apparently the developer has had restrictions put on them until this investigation is over.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, and I'm so they had a quote. Wandersong's, this is January 8th. Wandersong's Steam reviews are so good that Valve doesn't necessarily believe it's a real game and still haven't enabled many basic features for us in case it's a bot trick, but it's real. And I look at this and I'm like, really, Valve? This is what you're spending your time doing? Not the hundreds of hentai puzzle games or the dumb Russian asset flips. This is what you're doing? Is there's a game? I mean, and you're now investigating. I mean, I guess there was that game. Was it last year or the year before where there was a game that was a really simple match 3 or something like that, but it had a crypto miner in the background that was running? It was free to play, but it was crypto mining for somebody else.
I was doing it for a long time.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Good for Wandersong.
Yep. I want to go check it out. I mean, if
you're so good, you're illegal.
If you go look at the Steam page, it looks like a truly charming little game. It's not, it's not exactly the most graphically intense game in the world, but it looks like it's got charming art. And then there's a lot of when you watch the trailers, a lot of just wandering around and singing and stuff.
So fucking funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's weird to me because I looked at this game not but 2 or 3 days ago when I was looking for things to play this week that were not horrible under shit of the internet. So anyway, let's see. And last but not least, what would any Rage Like podcast be without some PUBG news?
What did they do this time?
They banned a bunch of people.
Oh, shit.
And let's see. One of the complaints that you were seeing were based on, what do they call these? No, what are they called? It is radar hacks that use like VPNs to track down other players and like point them out on a thing. Usually
that's interesting.
It's on a second screen, so like people can play the game without necessarily giving away the fact that they're using these. So apparently there was a big hardcore crackdown that came, and it actually swept up 6 professional PUBG players.
Oh, shit.
And the weird thing about it is that all of the professional players have a 3-year ban. And not just that, but apparently PUBG has been talking about like really hammering on background checks when they do competitive stuff to make sure that none of these people try to like circumvent that ban and get back into the game. Wow. I don't know. As always, I say that it seems as though PUBG is my favorite because they totally made this thing, and then Fortnite just eats their lunch. Like every fucking day, Epic Games is just like eating. They should be the ones. They should be the ones. We should all be playing PUBG, but they squandered what they had. And even this, I'm not sure if, I don't know. There's a question that comes up from time to time, and usually I'm on the side of the banner as opposed to the bannee, where like if you buy a game for money and you cheat at it and they ban you, should you like get your money back because you've technically now bought something that you can't actually use?
Well, it's a tough thing where it's like you have to sometimes, like a lot of games now asks you to agree to a terms and service now for anything like that. So at this point, you're just fucking with that yourself, I guess. I don't know. It's the same thing that people say about warranties. It's like you bought something and then you hacked it and it broke.
Right.
But like that's not on them. That's on you for fucking with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
But this is one of those instances where it's like I get what PUBG is doing, but you're right. Like no one fucking cares enough to care anymore.
The most surprising part of this whole story to me was when I read the words like esports and like professional PUBG players, and I was like, what? That's a thing? Oh.
But it kind of shows like what you need to be a professional PUBG player.
Yeah.
Isn't it that no one was paying attention? That you could just literally cheat and no one cared.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it shows the length that they were willing to go.
Yep.
Well, Epic just fucking bathes in money.
Where Epic is literally using their Fortnite money to take on Steam with their storefront.
It's crazy.
Like that's how much money they're making. Is they're like, oh, Valve, did you make games that were so popular that you could just kind of fuck off and do whatever you wanted to? Guess who the new kid in town is?
I can just imagine like PUBG is that dude that's just like, I made this kind of thing, and Epic's just like, look at my more badass version of that.
Right.
Like every time he buys a new car, Epic's like, yeah, that's cool, but I have this one now.
Right. Yeah. Poor Player Unknown.
They're like, we put a spoiler on here. We have a tank now.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we got some trailers this week. Not that many. We got a story trailer for Metro Exodus, the third in the Metro series. So it was Metro, 2033, and the Metro Last Light, and then Metro Exodus, which was, I believe, announced at E3 like 2 years ago. It was like the end of one of the conferences. They had like a gameplay demo.
Yeah, it was announced quite some time ago.
Have you played any of the Metro games?
No, actually.
Okay. I only played Last Light, but I really enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was really fun. It's kind of like a weird, gritty Russian Bioshock almost. Like,
oh, okay.
This one, though, looks really fantastic. Like, I like this story trailer quite a bit because it seems like we're getting out of, like, the whole point of this was that, like, the world got nuked and the subway system under Russia is where civilization stayed alive.
Yeah.
So they're all underground. But this one looks like it really has this whole, like, driving this train to different parts of the world. It looks like all the graphics look appropriately very good. And, the whole thing just like, I don't know, Metro Last Light, just people said a lot of good things about 2033 and I never played it. But then when I played Last Light, I was like, oh, yeah, this is fun. I like this. So I'm into it. I'm liking what I'm seeing here, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the writer of the books is really happy with how these games have turned out.
Good.
More than anything.
Good.
Whereas the Witcher dude is just a crazy person.
Oh. Well, that guy was like, well, I'll take $2,000 for the Witcher rights to the Witcher. Yeah, and what's crazy too is we're watching this whole trailer, and this game is coming out the mid-February. Like February 15th. Which
caught me off guard.
Yeah, like as of the time this podcast goes up, about a month from then, which is kind of insane because I think there have been there's like a trailer here and a trailer there, but it's kind of like they had that one big announced trailer, and then it's like, all right, it's out next month.
Yeah, I literally forgot it existed until the day. And it was like, yeah, it comes out next month. Oh, by the way, if you pre-order, you get the other one. I'm just like, what's happening?
Yeah, well, that's the Xbox. On the Xbox, they're giving you the backwards compatible to 2033.
Yeah, but still, like, it's one of those things. It's like, I didn't know any of these things.
Yeah.
Good for them, though.
Yeah. There's actually there's a lot coming out this month. There's a lot coming out kind of in January and February, which is good.
Yeah, since last year, the year before that, game companies started coming out with stuff in January and February a lot more.
Yeah,
like last year, it was crazy what came out in the middle of January.
But like in January, before this month is out, well, like at the end of the week, we're recording this on a Thursday, but tomorrow it's like the Mario Bowser Inside Story.
Oh.
On the 3DS Junior story comes out. The Hitman HD comes out. Next week it's Onimusha Warlords, the re-release of that. And there's like this game called Yik, a postmodern RPG that I've been looking forward to. Ace Combat 7, Travis Strikes Again, Senran Kagura Burst Renewal, Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2, Piku Niku, which is a game that nobody else knows, the Resident Evil 2 remake, Kingdom Hearts 3, and there's a lot of other stuff in this list, but those are like the big things, and that's just January. That's January. So, yep. Speaking of really cool looking games, I pointed out to Michael this. I don't know. I don't think that we talked about this, but there was a trailer that came out the day that we recorded our last podcast.
Yeah.
That was the Control World trailer. Now, anybody who forgot, Control is the next game by Remedy, the makers of Quantum Break and Max Payne and Alan Wake.
Oh,
all those good things. I have the biggest fucking hard-on for this game. Like, it looks like a weird combination of like SCP Containment Breach and like I don't know, like it just looks so interesting. And this trailer doesn't even show any like action. It's just kind of a voiceover talking about the stuff, the kind of the world that it takes place in. But I love the way that they kind of have what looks like a 70s office building, but then like there's a lot of just kind of wrong weirdness going on in it. Like, I don't know. I could not be more excited for this game.
I am really excited about it because everything it talks about, it's like, yeah, this is an office building, but like every room is another alternate fucking reality that's like trying to break through. It's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, there's some brief, shots of like what these monsters look like. There's this like floating, just kind of like weird floating backwards people in the air. I mean, it looks really like it. This is one of those ones where like art design is just like oozing out the sides of this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I didn't feel like Quantum Break really had a very like it's weird how Max Payne had a very clear art design of the gritty mean streets of New York. And like Alan Wake had a very gritty or had a very specific art style of the kind of the woods and this northwest or northeast, yeah. Kind of Maine forest Stephen King thing with the darkness. And then I felt like Quantum Break just kind of looked a little generic, but all the red lights and the weird brutalist architecture and just the font, the logo and all that stuff, like it all just screams character.
I'm trying to think that Xbox keeps like asking companies to give them exclusives, and then they half-ass them and then make better games for PlayStation.
Well, this is coming out for it's It's going to be on the. Oh, is this a PS4 exclusive? Right?
It looks like it so far.
I'm pretty
That's
sure
why I was thinking that because you said that. I'm like, yeah, that was their Xbox One exclusive one. Now it's like, look at this badass thing. Well, we barely showed any of it.
What's weird is that Quantum Break, like, remember that Quantum Break was announced when they were still kind of on this whole like DVR TV thing, and that Quantum Break was like, oh yeah, there's like a 30-minute episode of a TV show in between each level, and I'm like, what? I don't want to.
Really weird.
I don't want to do that. Like, I've never actually played through Quantum Break because I don't want to watch a 30-minute TV show in between each mission.
Like, I love the whole idea of like the weird TV shows that happen in the middle of them, like Max Payne, but I don't want it to overtake it.
Right.
So it's like,
yeah. I don't know though. I'm 100% in on Control.
Absolutely.
I'm 100% not in on Jump Force.
But this has your favorite character in it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, we got a trailer for, what was it, for Asta and then Deku. I don't know where Asta's from, but, Deku from My Hero Academia, which, isn't coming back until fucking, like, December of this year.
It's October.
Or, is it October?
Yeah, it's October.
All I know is it's forever. It's forever away, and I'm mad.
But now you can play him in a game.
Yeah, I can already play him in a game.
But you can fight Goku now.
But I don't want to. I want to fight, like, the guy with the hands on his face. I don't want to fight... Like, I'm kind of past the point of having action figures that I can bang together, like having Superman fight my G.I. Joe guys or whatever.
That's the best thing about these kinds of games, is that very much is that. It's like, my Goku can beat up your
Who would win in a fight?
Lucky Clover dude.
Between Vegeta and Death Note, I guess.
Exactly. I'll show that Boku's boss.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, you're more of a fan of this than I am. What do you think about this trailer? Anything jump out at you?
I'm pretty excited. I love the fact that shows off as much as it comes to the battle damage stuff that they've announced in the game, which is you will actually take damage as it progresses, or the fight does.
Yeah,
and Deku has a lot of damage there. And I wonder if his hands take any damage during it too.
For doing the little flick thing. Yeah,
because I was really impressed by the My Hero Academia game for doing that.
Did they do that?
Yeah, there's like, you can actually see like his hands kind of fucked up here and there.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just diagonal lines, right?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of lines. Be like, hey, here's his hand.
Yep.
But I can't wait to use Goku to beat up certain people.
Well, there you go. And that's coming out again, February 15th.
So. Who needs Valentine's Day when you have Deku and Goku?
I'll stick with, what was the other one that was? I'll stick with Metro. I'll stick with the crazy Russian subway trains. And last but not least,
one or the other.
Hey, here's an alert for you. I don't know if you know this, but Resident Evil 2 is putting out the one-shot demo. This is a 30-minute time-limited demo of the Resident Evil 2 that's coming out later this month, and I think it's available. It's going to be available on the 11th, so by the time you hear this, it'll already be out. But yeah, you get one life and 30 minutes, and I'm kind of like all cool with this. Like, that's kind of a fun idea, right? Like,
it makes me kind of giddy, and also it's one of those things where people are going to be like, "How far did you get in half an hour?"
Right. It kind of reminds me of the Resident Evil 7 demo,
yeah.
And then they kept updating it and putting in like more parts of it, and people got like obsessed over like, what was this reflection of this girl in this one thing, and how can you replicate it?
I'm so excited for this game.
So yeah, but it's from January 11th to January 31st. You can get the demo. I'm not going to say exactly, but you're probably going to see this on Rage Select at some point. I mean, not like right now.
I would laugh so hard if the second you step out, you just die.
Oh, don't worry. That's probably going to happen, and I'll probably just have to have like the PSX version of Resident Evil 2 on standby just in case. Be like, all right, well, fuck you then. From there, we have a whole bunch, like more than usual, a bunch of kind of announcements of things that are coming. So Marvel teased something quote unquote fantastic coming soon for Spider-Man, for the PS4 Spider-Man game. Okay, you're a big fan of Spider-Man. Literally wearing a Spider-Man hoodie.
Yes. Literally.
Do you think that this is just the Baghead costume?
I would love it if it was just the Amazing Bagman as an outfit, and maybe one of his future Foundation outfits.
Okay.
That's it.
Do you maybe know this more than I do? Are they going to make a second round of story DLC for Spider-Man?
As far as I know, they haven't said anything. This is the closest, and that's the thing, is that this could very well be that. Because in the menu, it looks like there's a little more space for stuff between you select DLCs. If it turns out it's something, I'd be all for it. Like, I'm doing New Game Plus right now, and just making them wear dumb outfits in the middle of, like, really, like, serious cutscenes, and it's the funniest fucking thing on the planet.
Okay. I think it'd be really cool if they had a full-on Fantastic Four, like, DLC arc, because the City Never Sleeps was a real mixed bag for me.
I thought it had a really abrupt ending.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was, in part 3 when Hammerhead shows back up, and I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah, they fused him with another Spider-Man character.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, you're doing the thing with, okay, sure, okay, let's do this.
I think it'd be, it'd be really interesting. They already put in the Spider-Verse costume.
Yeah, which I've been using like crazy.
Yeah, and I still haven't got a chance to see the Spider-Verse. See the beginning of the show where I talked about not being able to sit down for extended periods of time. But I think it'd be really cool if they had DLC for that. Like if there was a DLC arc that tied with the
I'd be cool with that.
Spider-Verse, right? Because wasn't there a thing where like that costume shows up in the movie briefly?
Yeah, it's in the room like with all the costumes.
Oh, okay.
In fact, when I watched it, the little kid next to me was like, "Oh, it's the suit from the game." I'm like, "Well, fuck you, kid. That's the armor suit over there."
Fuck you, kid.
I know more of those suits than you do because you're an asshole.
Damn. I thought I didn't like kids. Michael's serious.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you when I watched Spider-Man 3 the very first time I watched it?
No.
There was a kid that was crying, and I went, kill the kid.
Yeah.
My friend laughed so hard. I was very excited. Before I knew it was a terrible movie.
Speaking of Marvel, apparently one of the director of Hearthstone last April, Ben Brode, something like that, left Blizzard.
Okay.
And they now announced that he's put together a new company called Second Dinner, and that they have some kind of license with Marvel to make something. So, Marvel card game? Maybe?
Marvel Second Dinner?
What are you guys? Taco Bell? Come on. What's this, fourth meal? But yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I feel like Marvel has started to. It's almost like Spider-Man came out and they were like, "Oh shit, we can make money! Quick, green light!" What was the Switch? Ultimate Alliance 3. Start handing out licenses like there's no tomorrow. We could actually make good video games.
Yeah, like one day they were just like, why don't we let them make video games on these things anymore? And they're like, yeah, why don't we?
I'm still waiting though, man. One of the things that I've got my fingers crossed for E3 this year is my superhero wish list is I want to see what that Square Enix Marvel game, Avengers game is.
Oh, yeah.
And I want it to Rocksteady, you've been quiet for too long. Either show me Superman. It doesn't even, like, it'd be cool if it was Superman. If it's not Superman, I'm still cool with that, but just quit it. You need to get out here and show me your game.
You need to give me something.
Show it to me.
Even if it's a Justice League game, I'm cool with that too.
It could be
I just want Superman in something.
It could be a Martian Manhunter game guest starring Animal Man, and I would be okay with that at this point.
I'd be cool with that, actually.
Yeah. So. Let's see. Atlas is doing a little teasing about a Persona 5R, which they say that in March, there's like a very short trailer that in March you're going to see more about this. This is considered to be like, you know how Persona 4 had Persona 4 Golden?
Yeah, and 3 had, I forgot the fuck it was called.
What's that?
3 had something too.
Oh, yeah. And then I don't know if this is like the same thing, but I know that a lot of the Final Fantasies then had like the international version that had like where they really went back and just kind of cleaned everything up.
A lot of times with these though, they always add like a little something.
Oh
to
yeah,
them.
Yeah. What they added in Persona 4 Golden was a whole other character that was actually really pivotal to the storyline.
Yeah, 3 has like a different soundtrack and a bunch of other stuff in it too.
Yeah,
it's really like interesting what they do with these.
And then I've also seen some speculation that when they announced this Persona 5R, that it's going to be coming to the PlayStation and then the Switch.
I'm cool with that.
And that's why Joker is going to be on Smash Brothers, is because Persona 5 is going to be on the Switch, which. That would be very interesting.
It would be pretty cool.
That would be very interesting. So, yeah, I guess we'll find out in March. So only 2.5 more months left to go.
It's pretty exciting.
Speaking of Atlas games, Sega released Katherine on the PC. You can apparently now go to Steam and buy Katherine, I believe. Hold on, let me just make sure that I can do that. But the crazy thing about it is that it's got, I mean, it's got like unlocked frame rate and it's got all of the, Katherine Classic for $20. It's got unlocked frame rate. And you can like remap your buttons and you can do all the different stuff. And it's Katherine the way it came out.
Yeah.
But it is just Katherine the way it came out, where there's been like an enhanced edition of Katherine that they're bringing to the West at some point on the PS4 that has another character called Katherine and like different story stuff and kind of remixes and junk like that. So it seems kind of weird that when we all know that that is a thing, that they would then just put out original Katherine just kind of out of nowhere. But if you never played Katherine, I mean,
it's fairly solid.
I like it well
enough. It's got
a
few endings.
Yeah, it's got a few endings. I think it's a decent puzzle game. It reminds me of like Intelligent Cube. I was a little salty when it first came out because it wasn't Persona 5.
Oh.
And it was like between Persona 4 and Persona 5, that team made Katherine, and it was just like, all right, come on. I'm waiting over here.
You want to experience this love trial? I'm like, not really.
Nope, not really. But hey, you know what? If you're PC Master Race, you never played Katherine before, jump on it. Maybe I'd be willing to bet you though that between Sega and Atlas that they'll probably release the enhanced edition at some point as like a whole other SKU on Steam.
Oh, probably.
For like $30.
I wouldn't put it past them. It's got Sonic the Hedgehog in it.
Yeah. Okay, so I have put these in the wrong order, but speaking of Switch games, like we were before I talked about Katherine, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is coming to the Switch.
Well, that's a name I have not heard in quite some time.
Yep. Not entirely sure whether it's the version that was the remastered version that had all the enhancements and stuff that came to the PS4 and the Xbox One, but you'll be able to find out on April 23rd. Dragon's Dogma is a really interesting game, and if you missed it last generation and you want to play it, it's kind of like, I don't know.
It was very much like a weird Monster Hunter with like that was just by yourself, and that's what made it interesting.
Yeah, that. And then there was like there's some kind of like soulsiness to it, and it had but it had a lot of like powers. I don't know.
It was very unique.
It was very, very interesting. It takes some time to get going. Like, it definitely requires kind of an investment from you to kind of get going.
It didn't do as well as it did the first time it came out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like, it got more people jumping onto that bandwagon as it went on.
Yep. And then let's see. Let's talk about some of Jeff's favorite things. I mentioned it in passing, but Hitman Blood Bunny and Hitman Absolution are getting re-released in an enhanced package, 4K, 60 FPS, improved lighting, updated controls, and that's coming at the end of this week. By the time you hear this, it'll already be out. It was like announced like on January 4th, and it's out on the 11th. And it's going to be a digital-only thing that you can download. I bet I haven't seen whether it's out. It's not out yet because we're still the 10th as recording this, but I bet you're looking at like $40, which what I really want to know is like what is what this one particular updated controls means, because like those, especially Blood Money, was very much, I feel like, a mouse and a keyboard game. So if they've made it so that it's playable, because everybody always talks about how great Blood Money is, and I would really like to play it, and I've recently become way more of a fan of Hitman than I used to be. Absolution kind of sucks. I don't think it's quite as bad as people say it is, but it's weird because the same company made Hitman 1 through... made the original Hitman, and then every game between that and Hitman 2, including Hitman 1, Hitman 2, Hitman 3, Blood Money, Absolution, and then Hitman 2016, and then Hitman 2. So all of those games were made by the exact same company, and that one Hitman Absolution is like tonally really weird. Like there's like latex nuns with rocket launchers. That are, like,
I know what you're talking about.
There's one mission where you go to Texas and it's on like a gun range, and I never thought it was really all that bad, but I could definitely see where people who were used to the previous style of Hitman kind of got some shell shock.
It was really strange.
Yeah.
That's that much I remember about it.
But I don't know. I'm probably going to be... It's possible that by the time you're hearing this podcast, we might have just been done streaming this for 2 hours on Sunday.
Gotta murder that clown.
Yep. And then also, hey, Jeff is Jeff's favorite company, sort of, From Software. Apparently, so we got Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice that are coming out right now, but in a recent interview with 4Gamer, Hidetaka Miyazaki who's now the CEO of From Software, said that in addition to Sekiro, they have 2 unannounced projects that they're currently working on. Now, who knows? Dark Souls 4, Bloodborne 2. I'm putting my money on Kingsfield 5. Even though I know that's never going to be a thing. I think that Kingsfield would be the perfect VR game. It'd be the greatest VR game of all time because it was all just like chop, 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 chop. Or Shadow Tower 3 or Shadow Tower 2 HD remaster out in the United States.
Maybe it's Bloodborne versus Dark Souls. So I'd play that.
Super Smashborn Souls. Super Souls Smashborn. When it's just got like all of the From Software characters, so it's got like an Armored Core and Otagi and Shadow Tower.
Don't joke, I would play the fuck out of
Kingsfield. That would be weird.
I would play that so fast.
It'd be weird. Very weird. And then last but certainly not least, hey, Internet, I hear you like that playable teaser of from Hideo Kojima. Well, one of the people that were making one of the fan remakes of it finally finished and put it out. You can download it for free over on itch.io. It's called Unreal PT. And I was watching a YouTube video. It looks like it's pretty much exactly what it was. I mean, it looks a little different than I remember, but who knows? It's also been a while since I played it originally. And apparently, because it's in Unreal, this one also has VR support. So
really,
if you want to get your fucking balls scared off, you could do that. You do that. I really wish that PT would have been a thing. I really wish that it wouldn't have gone away.
There's an alternate reality somewhere where that game came out.
Yeah, Commander Worf won the Batleth tournament, and PT was released.
Exactly.
And that is all the news that we have. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. But when we come back, we're going to answer a buttload of questions. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a minute. And, Michael, we have questions aplenty this week. So mail@ragelight.com is the email address that you can send in your questions to. Please send in your questions. Our first question this week comes in from Sam. Sam writes in and says, hello, Jeff and Michael. Happy New Year. I hope you both had a refreshing break. The Dong Lord knows you deserve it. A question for the podcast. I recently stumbled upon a Wikipedia page called List of Video Games Considered the Best. To quote this page, this is a list of video games that have consistently been ranked among the best of all times by video game journalists and critics. The games listed here are included in at least 5 separate best/greatest of all time lists from different reliable publications. What's interesting looking at this list is that from about 1991 to 2012, there are usually quite a few games listed. It seems that typically there are over 6 and up to 10 games that were considered best of material for each year. There is an odd year with only 3 in there, but very rarely. However, in recent years, the number of best of games has dropped off with 3 in 2013, none in 2014, 2 in 2015, 16, and 1 in 17. Why do you think there is this drop-off? Is it because games are getting worse? Or is it because game critics are more divided in their taste? Or maybe there hasn't been enough best/greatest of all time lists from different reliable publications made recently? May the Dong Lord bless and keep you. Your patron from New Zealand, Sam. So I'm going to pull this page up because I actually looked at this previously. So there's some definitely I'm going to come down here to kind of the most recent entries, and let's take a look at, say, 2005. All right, 2005 has Civ 4, Devil May Cry 3, God of War, Guitar Hero, Resident Evil 4, Shadow of the Colossus, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, and Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Now, I would make the conjecture that I like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. I don't believe that it belongs on the best video games of all time
I don't
list.
think Guitar Hero should be on that either.
Well, if that's the original Guitar Hero by Red Octane, which it is, I can kind of see that because that was such a big breakout thing. But
still though,
Devil May Cry 3, I like Devil May Cry 3.
People think that's the best one.
Yeah, but even if it's the best one, I don't know. In my mind, I think of I don't know. I almost feel like
that's not two.
Pick one from the franchise to be the I don't know. Some of this is weird. 2006 is Elder Scrolls 4, Gears of War, Okami, Wii Sports.
Wii Sports?
And I'm Wii Sports
was very popular at the time.
I mean, Okami, I mean,
that's just because you don't like Okami.
well, I mean, yeah, but I feel like in a lot of ways, when you're talking about the best game of every year, that there's also a degree to be had. There's a question to be had about, like, are we talking about like the most critically well received game? Or are we talking about like the game that everybody played last year?
Well, based on what the criteria was, it was based on best reviewed. I think at this point,
it basically is an aggregate where it's like they took a look at a number of different publications, and then they were like, if 5 of those publications in a year said that this was one of the best games of the year, then it kind of goes on this list. Like, I don't know. I mean, Little Big Planet is in 2008, and I'm like,
like Spelunky's on there.
Yeah, I mean, like, some of this stuff I feel like is a little. Yeah, I mean, like, in 2010, Rock Band 3 is one of the ones listed. And, like, while I would say Guitar Hero and maybe original Rock Band, like Rock Band 3, I mean, Super Meat Boy, Super Mario Galaxy 2, like, I'm not saying that these are bad games.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're bad games, but, like, is this are these the best games of all time? So then when you get down, let's just take a look at, like, 2013 was Dota 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, and The Last of Us. 2015 was Bloodborne and The Witcher 3. Nothing for 2014. 2016 was Inside and Overwatch. And I'm like, Inside?
Really?
Like, again.
That's all you guys had for that year?
You come down and you say, like, what? Doom, Hitman. I mean, like, there was some stuff. I don't know.
This list is stupid.
And in 2017, the only one is Breath of the Wild. And, like, I think that's ridiculous.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Because 2017, again, had Smash, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, even...
Well, that was last year.
Oh yeah,
but Breath of the Wild still had that. That was still the year of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, let's see. Let's just type in best. Best. Let's type with one hand, Jeff. Games 2017.
Isn't that when Uncharted 4 came out too?
Let's see. Resident Evil 7 came out that year. Nier Automata came out that year. Super Mario Odyssey. Fortnite. Well, that's the original Fortnite. Like Cuphead, Prey. There's a lot of stuff on here. I know that not everybody agrees with me about Injustice 2, but Injustice 2.
Injustice 2 is great.
Hellblade, like, Night in the Woods. Like, there's a lot of stuff on here that I feel like...
Even that Mario Rabbids game was really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that I feel like could go on that list. And, so I feel like a lot of this is just you're looking at something that is... it's one of those weird aggregate things where the way that they're measuring it, like,
and Uncharted 4 came out in 2016, if I remember. And I don't even see that on there.
Let's see. 2016 was just Inside and Overwatch.
Yeah,
2016 had, let's see, The Witness, Doom, Uncharted 4. Yep, Darkest Dungeon. I'm just naming some of these off here. Hitman, which I think was criminally underrated.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff on here that I feel like could have gone on that list. And the fact that it wasn't on, Persona 5, the fact that it's not on that, the fact that these things are not on that list, to me, is just...
It's criminal.
It's strange.
We'll look up 14 because I'm curious.
14 is weird because you got Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor, which I think was a
solid game,
a huge accomplishment. Dark Souls 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, Mario Kart 8, Stick of Truth, which I think is should totally be on that list.
Shovel Knight should totally be on that list.
Wolfenstein New Order, Far Cry 4, which I still think is one of the best of the Far Cries. Not everything in 2014 was like you say, hey, Sunset Overdrive, that was a fun game. Does it deserve to be the best of 2014? Probably not.
Smash Brothers was fine.
That was the Wii U Smash Brothers, though.
And it was fine.
We just got done talking. Well, yeah, but it was fine. But I don't think I would put it on like best of. But, there's stuff on here that you could definitely put in there. Yeah. In fact, wait, hold on. What year was the stupid Walking Dead game when everybody gave? Yeah,
it was
okay.
Like 12,
that was 12. 2012 was Dishonored, Fire Emblem Awakening, Journey, Mass Effect 3, and The Walking Dead. Mass Effect 3? Really? I liked it.
No,
and I'm not. But see, that's the problem. I guess is that Was it the worst? No, but did it deserve to be like one of the best games?
How's
of
Far Cry 3 not on there?
I don't know. XCOM Enemy Unknown came out in 2012. It was
A
great.
lot of Part 3s came out.
Hotline Miami came out in 2012. Diablo 3 came out in 2012. Darksiders 2, Sleeping Dogs, like Mark of the Ninja. There's a lot of different things that came out that were good. I mean, none of this. Some of these don't deserve to be like the greatest of the greatest. Like Binary Domain came out in 2012, and Binary Domain was a very fun game.
Yeah.
Again, that I think is very underrated. But
Persona 4 Arena was really good.
Yeah. So I think that in a lot of ways, what you're running up against here is the idea that this list is. Well, I think that some of what he's saying is correct in that there is a much more diverse group of games out there. Like, a lot of people this year are putting Celeste on their Game of the Year lists. I tried playing Celeste and I didn't care for it. It was just a platformer, and I don't care for pure platforming. Like, I like it when there's some like attacking and some different tools.
Oh, okay.
I don't like just like the Super Meat Boy style of just pure unadulterated avoid the shit and get to the end of the level. It's just not my kind of game. But there was a lot of people last year that I saw. There was a phone game that was about like falling in love and something.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
That a bunch of people put on their Game of the Year list. I just didn't play it. Like,
yeah, I didn't either.
And even though it's supposed to be really good, I'm not interested in playing a phone game. Like, I just not really all that interested. So I think that what you're looking at here is yes, a diversity of different games. But
I think it also comes down to publications. A lot of publications just aren't really all that around anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very possible. Or that there are so many, right, that everybody kind of has their own take on, what is out that year. So, yeah. And also, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many things that I feel like could be on this particular list that aren't. And in a way, maybe it's also, I was thinking about how you also have the ability over time for truly quote-unquote classic games to gain that status as a classic, and that it's like kind of the persistence of that game's popularity over time.
Yeah.
Right? Or it's like sometimes a game comes out and people are just really fanatical about it the day, and the month that it comes out, and then 2 years later, you're like, remember that one game? And you're like, oh, yeah.
It did come out.
I remember that game.
I remember when Street Fighter V was exciting.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a strange list. It's a weird list to me because there's a lot of stuff on here that I don't know I would put on here.
I feel like it's the same issue you have when you look at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
When you're just like, how did this movie beat this movie kind of thing? That's just what it was. It's popular at the time.
Right. You also get into a really weird thing where, like, especially for me, my tastes have changed. Like, the older I get, the more I'm into certain types of games. I'm just not into other types of games. The less I'm interested in taking, there's a lot of games out there that have really protracted introductions, right? Where it's like, it takes about 8 hours to get this game really to get rolling. And I'm just like, great, you can keep it.
Yeah.
You can have it, you can keep it. And I'm not going to say that it's bad, but I'm not going to play
You're
it.
like, I'm good. I'm just going to not do that then.
Yeah. I mean, like in 2000, Jet Set Radio is one of them. Like,
it's got a great soundtrack.
I mean, and it's not that I think that Jet Set Radio is bad, but the other things in 2000 are Counter-Strike, Deus Ex, Diablo 2, Majora's Mask, The Sims, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And I'm like, wow.
It had Spider-Man in it.
Also, you know what? I will put out there that, I am not immune to the concept. I'm not blind to the concept that as video games have become more and more of a big business, that fewer and fewer risks are taken, and that more and more you see companies taking really safe bets on stuff, or on sequels, or on middle of the road stuff. Destiny 2, right? As opposed to really just kind of striking out and doing your own thing. Hell, the fact that Microsoft is still flogging the Halo franchise. I mean, like, I feel like I don't know anybody that's excited about Halo anymore. There's nobody that I'm just like, Halo, and they're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, Halo!
After 4, I was just like, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah. And I played 5, and it had a beginning, a middle, and end, characters, dialogue.
Did it have an end, though? Because it ends on a cliffhanger.
I mean, ish. That was one that like switched back and forth between like Master Chief's team and then like
that was my issue with all of the ads. They're like Master Chief is dead, and you play the game. No, but not really though. It's like I don't really care now.
So yeah. Plus, I think the other thing to remember, Sam, is that you know what? Don't listen to people. Don't. I mean, like, if you like a game, great, but never seek validation from somebody else that a game that you like is good. Because, I mean, yeah, you might get it, but on the other hand, you know, people have wildly different opinions. I was telling this story about this article that I read about Bird Box.
Oh.
Did you watch that?
No, I didn't watch it.
And it was
I saw
like
all of the memes, though.
Yeah, it was this really kind of like upper crust, like scathing article about like, I don't even know why people would watch Bird Box, like where there's all of these like Oscar award winning things, and it's like, goddamn, dude, it's like 2 hours long, and it's fine. I feel like when I used to search for it, it would come up as like one of the first stories that came up, but it was really, I don't know, it was just like, it was so snide about like, you know, I don't know why anybody would spend their time watching Bandersnatch or Infinity War when there's so many critically acclaimed movies. And I'm like, dude, you could suck all of my dick, all right? Like, I want to watch Parks and Rec because I got 20 minutes to eat and I could use a feeling nice show, and I don't care whether it's a critically acclaimed art house film. I'm just looking for a little bit of comfort food while I shove this burger in my mouth and then get back to work, right?
Speaking of which, The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine started today.
Oh, The Good Place is back already?
It's back today.
Holy shit.
So it'll be on Hulu tomorrow.
Woo! I actually, you know, let's take a quick sojourn because I actually watched a lot of stuff. I did watch Bandersnatch. It was okay. Did you watch that?
I did. Me and my roommate fucked with it the whole day.
I ended up going through Baki. Have you watched that on Netflix yet?
Oh no.
I think you would really like it because it's
what is this?
It's an anime. What really sucks is that the whole anime is out in Japan, but only the first half of it has been released in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
And it's called Baki, Baki, and it is it's a really, really, really over the top. Like, it's actually a sequel to a series called like Underground Fighter Baki the Grappler.
Okay.
Which was like this real kind of like this old school like who is the strongest man fighting tournament. But the whole point of it is that Baki in the previous series, like, he won this fighting tournament. And so there are these 5 criminals at the very beginning that like break out of jail, and they're all looking, their dream is to be defeated in Mortal Kombat. And so they come to Japan and they end up challenging all the greatest fighters in Japan to basically death match at any point in time.
Oh, geez.
They're going to come and they're going to kill you. And it's ridiculously over the top. Like, every guy in here is just like a monstrous, hulking meat man, and they all just like punch the shit out of each other so fucking hard. It reminds me, the reason I thought that you might like it is because it like reminds me a little bit of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I could definitely see that.
And that there's a lot of like talking about what they're gonna do before they have their fight, and there's a lot of just like ridiculously hard punching people. Like, there's a fight that happens early on where one guy shoves a bunch of bullets in a guy's mouth and then makes him close his jaw, and it blows the sides of his face off, and then they keep fighting. And I'm just like, okay, Baki.
I'm totally down for all of that.
Yeah. I was like, okay, great. So Baki, that was pretty fun.
Oh, geez.
Luther has a new season that just came out.
Oh, yeah.
Which was great. Doctor Who, on the other hand, had their New Year's, and I just don't like new Doctor Who. It wasn't.
That's a shame.
Very exciting, and it sucks because I've stuck with Doctor Who through some of the bad seasons, and this one I'm just kind of like, I just don't. Nope,
Yeah, everyone I know who really likes Doctor Who, I've heard nothing about this new season. Not a peep.
You know, it's a real sticky situation, or not sticky situation, but it's a real shit lot for me in life, because it's like I don't like this new season, but I have no problem with Jodie Whittaker.
Oh no, it's a bad timing kind of thing. It's one of those things where like I love the idea of this, but whoever's writing it does not know how to make it work.
Yeah, and I don't even dislike Chibnall like I liked Broadchurch, but I watched this and I'm just like, I'm not into it. But then the problem is that the only people online who are just like, boo, are the people who are like, this SJW nonsense. And I'm like, well, I don't like it because, I mean, I think you can write SJW nonsense into your Doctor Who franchise and it's probably could be okay, but I just don't like the writing. Like, it's not that I care that the Doctor's a lady that travels around with a multi-ethnic group of companions. Okay, whatever. I don't give two fucks. But, like, I do care that it's boring. So,
there's a difference.
I mean, you know, at least with Broadchurch, it was cripplingly depressing, and that was something at least. But
there's that, I guess.
Yeah,
a lot of good stuff out right now.
Oh, I also watched that new Halloween movie.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty good. I have some slight quibbles with parts of it, but all in all, it was good. It was a lot. Halloween's one of those series where, like, the further you get down the Halloween franchise, the really dumber it gets. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. It gets into a kung fu fight with what the fuck is his name?
Like Loomis or whatever.
Yeah, it's this rapper. He gets into a kung fu fight with.
Oh yeah, that's Halloween H2O.
I think so.
With Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes. Yeah, he gets into a kung fu fight with Busta Rhymes. That shit is amazing for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So I mean, that was pretty good. It was pretty good. Anyway, all right, let's go on. This next one comes in from Alexander. Alexander says, seasons, greetings, my dong lords. And a lot of these have come from December, so if there's a lot of Christmas-themed stuff, fine. Let's see. First, I hope that you had a relaxing and fun holiday season. I just read how Darksiders 3 had an update to include quote-unquote classic mode to better integrate the gameplay from its predecessors. I'm having mixed feelings over this. On the one hand, I am happy that they are listening to the players and correcting mistakes. On the other hand, it feels like they're changing the base gameplay, something that should have been looked at and done before release. What are your thoughts? Are we in an age of No Man's Sky and constant updates that change everything? Is this good or bad or just how things are right now? Your rage boy, Alexander. Did you play Darksiders 3?
I did not.
Yeah.
Mostly because you told me not to play it.
I didn't care for it all that much. Yeah, I read about that. The problem I think that I have is that I already beat it, right? And it's not the sort of game that, like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the classic mode is more engaging combat-wise than the original. However, what I read about it made it seem like classic mode was, like, way easier than the combat engine that they had in the game. And so it's like, well, why? Like, the combat wasn't exactly, the combat was only one of the problems that I had with Darksiders 3. Like, I had a problem with the map, I had a problem with the progression system, I had a problem, you know, a lot of different things that I had problems with. I had a problem with the storyline. Like, I didn't care as much about the storyline as I did about the storyline for Darksiders 1, Darksiders 2. So the idea of going back and replaying it with a different battle system, I don't know. That's one of those things where you have to be really careful when you put out a game. What is that? That quote? I think it's like a Miyamoto or whatever, where it's like like a bad game.
A bad game is where
like a delayed game.
Well, when you delay the game, the anger is for a little bit, but when you come out with a bad game, it's like forever or some shit like that.
Yeah,
like I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember it either.
Miyamoto, not Miami Dolphins. No, not. I don't need to. Oh yeah, okay. A delayed game is eventually good. A bad game is bad forever.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I do often wonder, though. I mean, I often wonder about the implications of like No Man's Sky. Like for No Man's Sky, it was one of those things where I almost feel like they were trying to make good. Like they were forced to shove the game out, and that all these updates have been coming out to try to make the game better.
Well, it's the issue I had with the first Destiny.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Except that you had to pay for the stuff in Destiny. Whereas you remember when the first Destiny came out, we were all like, "Well, this is the thing."
Yeah.
And then by the time Taken King came out, we're like, "Well, Destiny's a game again." And then by the time we were done, we're like, yeah, that should have been how the game was when you first bought it.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Or I ran into somebody online talking about how how because Call of Duty 4 implemented like a bunch of microtransactions into the game, and how there's a thing like you can kind of see it happen with Red Dead and with other things where like a company will put out a game that has an online service and they'll have the microtransactions all turned off so that when reviewers review it, they know that reviewers are going to hammer them on microtransactions. But if there aren't any in the game, then the reviewers will give it a good score. And then by the time everybody's bought it and they're all playing it, and then like a month down the line, you could just be like, ka-ching! Microtransactions, everybody!
Yeah, that's what happened with Metal Gear Solid 5. They made it harder for you to do the single player mode without some of the extra bases and shit.
Oh, that was in there from the beginning.
No, but it was like it wasn't on yet for like the first month or two.
I think you can buy the forward operating bases. Or okay, maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things.
Well, they made it worse as when the online really turned on, because I guess they just didn't turn it on yet at the time. Because I remember by the time I beat the game, that stuff wasn't on yet. And so when they turned it on, I was like, well, I'm already done with the game, so it doesn't matter to me anymore.
At this point, Konami is basically just the devil.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones who wanted like $10 for another save slot in Metal Gear Survive, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Horse armor.
My greatest desire, Michael, is the idea that all of that Castlevania stuff in Smash Brothers means that Nintendo's going to make a Castlevania game for the Switch.
I'd be cool with that.
Because, come on, Konami, what are you doing with it? Nothing. You're not even making pachinko games. You're not even selling like capes online for me to buy or whatever.
I think they're making a phone game, though, last I heard. Either way, I was pretty annoyed. I was like, new Castlevania. Oh, it's a phone.
I don't know. I guess it's one of those things. I was thinking about it because I downloaded a bunch of all the fighting games that came out last year. So Dragon Ball FighterZ and like Street Fighter. And I was thinking about how Nintendo is so good about the game that you put in on the day that you get it is kind of the game that it is. Like the way that it's not like World of Light got patched into Smash Brothers 2 months after it came out, or it
wasn't the story mode for Street Fighter V, is what you're saying,
right? Exactly. Fucking. Oh, I'm still mad about that shit.
I am too. Why do you think I keep bringing it up?
But yeah, I don't know.
You Kage, you fucking weirdo.
It's weird because on the one hand, I like the idea of if you release a game that's fucked up and then you like feel bad about that you can go back in and try to fix it. Right. On the other hand, I don't like the precedent of releasing a busted game and then fixing it after the fact. Like, I'm still.
It didn't work for Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I'm still kind of on the fence about like the huge day one update patches, right? Where it's like you're shipping something that's going to need a patch like before it can even go. I do kind of like the idea of having a fully functional game on the disc. On the other hand, I also like the ability for a company to make right if they do something fucked up, right? Like. Battlefield 2 had the microtransactions on when it launched, right?
Oh, Battlefront 2?
Battlefront 2, right. And then they eventually
just turned it off.
Yeah. And they wouldn't have been able to do that if they had been limited to just, what was there when they launched.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a real weird, like there's like 8 different directions that you can look at that as an issue. And sometimes they're good. And it's like, I still think that they said that they were going to spend, when Final Fantasy 15 came out, they were going to spend like 2 years patching in like additional story content and like additional plot elements.
Well, that's the thing is that it's just the way things are right now.
Yeah.
Like Monster Hunter World is like that too. Like since it's come out, there's been different festivals, new monsters, different armors, different things for your Palico, just different stuff over and over and over again. And I'm totally fine with that time, the way our time frame is now, that you can just do something like that without having to buy a disc. Because you remember when Halo 2, when it came out with new maps, you had to buy an actual disc.
Nope.
To get you had to buy. You could buy an actual disc with the maps to use. Like it was
stupid,
different,
stupid.
Exactly, because the online wasn't doing updates yet in the same way it is now.
Right.
Like we're at that point now. Like people complain about it, but it's like, yeah, I remember when I had to buy a fucking Halo 2 disc for 3 maps.
I mean, on the other hand, it was like, when Spider-Man came out, like there have been updates to Spider-Man to add additional things into Spider-Man, but the core of Spider-Man is what it was the day that I launched it and hit the record button, right? So,
but New Game Plus is fantastic.
Yeah, well, anyway, let's move on. This is a sad story. Ryan writes in and basically says, "Hey, Jeff and Michael, was wondering if you saw this story developing and have any input on it. The original video is pretty cut and dry domestic abuse and frankly not worth watching if you don't want to ruin your day. But do you think the platform really has a leg to stand on when it comes to supporting someone like this? Regards, Ryan." This is a story. I don't know if you know about this.
I actually did hear about this.
About a Fortnite streamer that basically like his wife was yelling at him to stop playing, and like he had his camera on and was streaming and like stood up and went and like beat the shit out of her. There was like screaming in the background and a child crying and like bad stuff. And Twitch banned him. However, they have recently unbanned him. I am going to just go out on a limb here. You know, in 4 rooms, there's that line, like the less one makes declarative statements, the less foolish one is to look in retrospect. But you know what? Fuck this motherfucker. Like, you stay the, like, get, like, permaban. Like, nah, bro. Like, there's no conceivable idea that I could have of, like, keep the guy who beat his wife, let him back on to stream, right? Like, no, that's all right. You can go to one of the weird streaming platforms that nobody gives a shit about.
There's so many weird fucking people on those things that are like desperate to try to make it their thing.
Yeah.
And some people just don't see the weird dark shit they do to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. That's the weird dark shit that some people go to.
Yep.
They beat their wives and then they're like, Fortnite, yay. And it's like, no. Fuck that.
I'm not you're not gonna make a case for me about why you
can't make a case for it.
Yep.
Unless his wife was Hitler or something and he was beating up Hitler, but that's really the only way you could.
No, I don't even want to see that. I mean, I've actually seen the footage and it's just horrifying.
Oh no,
like,
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm gonna say right now, Ryan, if you wanted me to just come on and say like fuck that guy, well fuck that guy. Like stay the fuck off this platform, and if you suck and I don't like you, boo.
There's not much to say other than just don't beat women.
Yep. Maybe just keep your hands off most people for the most part.
Don't beat things.
Yeah. Let's see. So this is actually a response to us talking about the Fortnite dancing stuff last time.
Oh, neat.
So let's see. This person didn't sign their email, so I'm going to call them K. K writes in and says, "Hey, Jeff and Michael, wishing you all a happy new year. After hearing the latest podcast and hearing about the latest Fortnite lawsuits, I wanted to ask if on a moral level, at least, should Epic credit the original dancers of the emote? With Fortnite being free, while a lot of people do not play the game just to do the emote dance, they have made at least 10% of their money on them, according to Matt Pat's latest vid, which is a hell of a lot. It seems as though yourself and Mike were very nonplussed about the dances being copied, as you believe these were old dances made by already rich people that should have been copyrighted already in a legal sense. I don't believe the lawsuit will win, but, and this is a parenthesis, sorry, this is a small race thing. As an example, when there are many small white kids doing the shoot dance and calling it hype, it just seems like it's taking away from the ideas of a very new and as not yet very successful black artist who could do a lot of the promo that the emotes could give, or who could do with a lot of the promo that the emotes could give, seeing as so many people buy and use them, with at least some credit being given to the artist, especially the newer ones who could do with it. Do you think that would be enough for Epic to do? Thanks, and that's from K. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where my moral compass on a lot of things are, I guess that particular emote I feel like is, I don't know. We've got Carlton and the backpack kid,
the floss,
right?
The floss, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah. I don't really know that much about, what was that, 2 milli? Or
yeah, something
that
like
was?
that.
I'm afraid
Which I think
really
is the point of what his question is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It does. It's such a strange thing. Like I totally understand the rationale there.
No, I get the rationale, but the thing is that it has to be something that gets approved first.
Yeah,
you can't just willy-nilly start adding people's name to things, kind of thing. And that's really what it comes down to. That's why a lot of the times these dances aren't actually named after even what they actually are. Like half the games that use the Carlton never call it the Carlton,
right?
For that very reason.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I guess in my mind after reading this, like there's part of me that says, you know, Epic is making so much money off of Fortnite that like they literally are giving more money back to the people that make Unreal assets, right? And they're like, you know, trying to open up the store and use that, and so like over the last year, Epic has seemed to be a fairly like quote unquote good. They seem to be making laudable moves for a big ass company, right?
Yeah.
So I could definitely find myself saying like, hey, Epic, you've got more money than you know what the fuck to do with. Take some of that money and give it to a lawyer to be like, let's go make a deal with the people that are upset about this, or create some kind of system for compensation.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, obviously legally,
free V-Bucks or something.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, the idea of cross promotion, that's you know,
there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's why Thanos ended up in that game for a bit. You know? It's like. That's why any number of these things happen.
And you know what? I've seen enough things over the years of giant corporations that just rip off what they want from people and then never give it a second thought, or they're just like, talk to our legal department for 4 years and like maybe we'll cut you a check someday.
Yeah. Like I like the idea of giving them the credit for it, but it really comes down to how to give them the credit for it is the issue. Especially if it's not something they've had copyright in any way or like that kind of thing. Like Glee was really bad about like stealing people's shit all the time.
Who?
Glee, the show.
Oh,
the singing people or whatever. They were always like constantly stealing like people's shit, and when people would call them out on it, they're like exposure, yo, and then that was it.
Yeah,
it was like, but you never said anything, so
yeah, I
don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I'm totally down with it, but it has to come down to how do you pull it off without causing any legal issues.
I agree. All right, let's move on to Michael. What? Michael writes in and says, hello, Jeff and Michael. Last week you were talking about David Hayter and Cam Clark. This reminded me that for the big send-off game for Snake, MGS5, they replaced David Hayter with a Hollywood actor. This was made funnier by the fact that Snake had like 3 spoken lines the entire game and basically paid for a name on the box like a film. This met with backlash because replacing voice actors for characters without reason seems to lead to the character not feeling like themselves. My question is, how important do you think it is to keep the cast consistent within games and even other media? I think that while a lot of really hard work goes into a character that the voice acting has nothing to do with, they are just as important to the character's identity. For example, I would never want to play a Nathan Drake game without Nolan North. Thank you again for reading and rage on. And that's from Michael.
So I'm just kidding, not me. No, so no, he's 100% right. Like the thing is, games voice actors are very much something that I love to like always keep on. Like when I find a good voice actor, I want to hang on to that dude for dear life.
Yeah,
it's like I want to only have that dude for ages. And like the David Hayter thing annoyed the fuck out of me when they did that.
Yeah, I still don't know. Well, okay, so it's weird to me because it's like, bro, like. You would hire Kiefer Sutherland because you wanted the voice to sound like Kiefer Sutherland, right? Like it'd be one thing if you were just being shitty to David Hayter and you wanted to get somebody in there who was going to try to sound like David Hayter. And you know what's weird is there's actually is like a story reason why his voice would be different.
It would be really easy to do like anything for that sequence. Like it's literally every possible reason could have been done to make that work, and they do nothing. Because it's one thing to go, because that's the thing about voice actors is that it's one thing for them to change from part 1 of a game to part 2 of a game.
Right.
Because those I can forgive because it's like, okay, maybe that guy wasn't able to do it anymore and he had to leave or something.
Yeah.
But then you go from like part fucking 5?
Right. Well, not even 5 because he was the voice actor in Peace Walker. And
yeah, like it's like 6 or 7 games in.
Yeah.
And they're just like, nope, David Hayter, you can go not do anything.
I think that one of the ones that I've heard is that one of the stories that I've heard is that Kojima was so mad at Konami that he was trying to run up the budget as high as humanly possible, and that was the reason that they hired Kiefer Sutherland, was because he wanted to shove Konami with another huge ass check that they had to pay, but I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make it's just you telling David Hayter to go fuck himself to tell Konami to fuck itself.
Yeah,
I remember how pissed David Hayter was.
Yep.
For a while.
Yep. He was like, I wasn't even asked.
Like, they didn't tell me nothing.
Yep.
They were just like, you're not Snake anymore, and they're not even the ones who told me that.
I think that for this one, like, okay, so I think there's also a difference between like a person that sounds like that person. Like if Kiefer Sutherland, and I don't really know much about Kiefer Sutherland, I 24, right?
Yeah, he's 24.
But like if he was trying to sound more like David Hayter, like that might have been like if he was brought on, but then he spent all this time listening to all the David Hayter lines from the previous Metal Gears and had that more just like question mark like delivery that David Hayter has in all the other Metal Gear games.
Metal Gear.
Yeah, exactly. Like that could have been different. Like here's a question. Like if they put out another Uncharted game and Nolan North wasn't the voice of Drake, but you couldn't hear any difference between the person who, because let's be honest here, like Nolan North is a good voice actor. I know. I mean, he was also Penguin. Like suddenly he's fucking British, right? Like, but
he's Cockney as hell.
But Nathan Drake doesn't exactly have like the world's most distinctive voice. Like you could probably find somebody that was either able to affect a Nathan Drake sound alike, you know, to the point where it would be hard to tell the difference between the two of them. And I don't know. I mean, I would always want Nolan North to be Nathan Drake, but I don't know that I would be just like, fuck this game if somebody that sounded a lot like Nathan Drake but wasn't Nolan North was doing the
that's the thing
the
is
voice
that
acting.
It's when they try to keep it the same, then I don't really have that much of an issue with it.
Yeah,
like, you know, from Toy Story, like a good example is Toy Story 2 and 3, I guess, because they get the voice actor, the guy who played Ernest.
Oh, Jim Varney.
Yeah, Jim Varney had died between 2 and 3, and he did the fucking Slinky.
Yeah,
and they got the other, basically the guy from all the Adam Sandler movies. Who's a redneck a lot of times in those.
Oh, okay.
They got him to do the voice, and he sounds almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's not jarring. Like your brain is just like, okay, I'm cool with this. Whereas, you know, I played the Harvey Birdman Wii game, and they didn't get Stephen Colbert, and the dude didn't even fucking try to be Colbert for Phil. You're like, this is just awful.
Well, it's weird. I was actually thinking like the biggest voice acting change outside of the Snake thing to me, what is it with stealth games, was Splinter Cell Blacklist.
Oh, that's right.
When suddenly Michael Ironside, who the thing is that like, okay, listen, it's like if you got somebody that sounded like fucking Nolan North to be the voice actor for the next one, great. But like Michael Ironside wasn't affecting any kind of voice outside of Michael fucking Ironside. And that guy has a voice that you could fucking hear. And so the difference between Michael Ironside and not Michael Ironside, you're like, who is this?
You're pretty angry at that point.
Also, he seems like he just got way younger in Splinter Cell Blacklist, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on here?
They're like, he went from like 50 or 60 to like 12, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Like 25 in a totally different voice, and I'm just like,
In animation, it doesn't bother me as much sometimes too. Like especially like the DC animated universe is a good example.
Yeah,
because Tim Daly did Superman and Superman the animated series. And then they did George Newbern for pretty much everything else after that. Yeah. And he also does it for the Injustice games, that sort of thing. Okay. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, you know, I wish it was still Tim Daly because I like Tim Daly's Superman voice. But George Newbern's really fucking good as well. And sometimes that's what it is. It's like, sure, I love Christopher Daniel Barnes as Spider-Man, but he's not going to do it for everything from the 90s up. And so you have to accept stuff like that.
It is weirdly jarring to me, though, like, because they keep trying to put other people as the Joker in DC animated stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, you're not Mark Hamill! You get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, when you go from not Mark Hamill to somebody else, or from Mark Hamill to not Mark Hamill, you're just like, well, Troy Baker, you gave it a shot.
Right.
I liked it, but you're still not Mark Hamill.
Was he the one in the Red Hood?
No, he was the one for Arkham Origins.
Really well. Yeah.
John DiMaggio is the one for Under the Red Hood.
Okay.
And you're like, you did a decent job, but all I hear is Bender.
Right. It was fine. It's just, hey man, like that. I guess that's where I'm going to come down, Michael, is that if you have a really iconic like read, then changing it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Like if you've had Mark Hamill be the Joker, animated Joker, and Joker in other media for a long time, and then suddenly somebody else is there, and you're just like, oh, guys, wait, what the fuck are you doing? It'd be like if Kevin Conroy wasn't doing Batman suddenly, and you were just like, huh?
Yeah, but people are totally cool with the Bruce Greenwood Batman.
Yeah.
The Young Justice one, and also Under the Red Hood.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it depends. Also, that also works in the opposite direction, though, because I kind of want you to stop using Nathan Fillion for DC characters, just rando Magando. I feel like every time his voice shows up, and I'm just like, you get out of here, Nathan Fillion. I know who you are. You get your shoo.
He's not a bad Green Lantern, though.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's not always Green Lantern for some reason.
Yeah.
You're just like, why is he that random dude over there? You're not Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Or when they made George Newbern fucking Steve Trevor in the Justice League War movie.
Oh,
I'm like, why are you that and not Superman? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
yeah. I don't know. It's just when it's jarring.
Like, we have Jerry O'Connell to be Superman. I'm like, who?
Sliders, man. Sliders.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like we're in that day and age where like you say sliders and people are like, what?
Like little hamburgers?
It's like,
yeah.
It's like I know what sliders is, but he's not exactly going to be my favorite fucking Superman. He's not bad, but
and then I guess you've got ones where it's just like we've talked a lot about Destiny over the course of this podcast, and boy, there was no better choice than taking Dinklage out of that game because it was just like, I don't even know why you wanted him in there because it's not exactly like he's just the most renowned voice actor, and then you gave him all these lines like that wizard from the moon.
Yeah,
like,
and then they took that line out.
Yep.
Like, we gave him personality. Take it out.
Yeah. I think that Nolan North was way better as the ghost.
Was a way better idea.
Yep. All right, let's see. This next one comes in from Danger Dave. Danger Dave says, hey, Jeff and Michael, on a recent podcast, I think this one's kind of directed a lot at me, talking about the movie Up.
Oh, okay.
On a recent podcast, you discussed how the emotional trauma of the first act of the movie Up left you unable to relish the remainder of the film. However, many moons ago, I recall you saying that Casablanca may be the greatest movie ever made. I find myself agreeing with you on both points. But that final scene with a rock in the rain saying they'll always have Paris, damn, it's tragic and powerful. So I guess I'm wondering if the popular formula for media that wants to throw a lachrymose haymaker is to have the sting be ever in the tail. Is $1 Million Baby better than Bambi for this reason? What do you reckon? Strong work, lads. And that's from Danger Dave. Also, I'm calling it right now. Lachrymose Haymaker is my new punk man name. Nobody else gets it. It's mine. Nobody else has it.
I could have sworn we answered this one.
Did we?
I remember the Bambi part.
Oh, okay. Well, this came in right before we stopped, so it's entirely possible that I read this one already, and then I've just been 2 weeks and I forgot about it. So
I have a vague memory of answering this question.
You what, Danger Dave, if we didn't answer it before, I'm so sorry. So let's answer a few more, and then we'll be done. Let's see. Unknown Ronan writes in and says, Dear Rage Light, are there any holiday traditions that you do every year in December? And if so, what are they and how did they get started? For me, my family and I always watch a Claymation Christmas without fail every year. As for how it got started, we watched it on TV way back in the 1990s and loved it so much that we made a point to go get the VHS for it and then later DVD copy for yearly viewings, especially since the animation is fun to watch and the songs that they feature in the special, like We Three Kings, Carol Bells, Joy to the World, are great covers of those holiday classics. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, you can find the link below. Anyway, thanks for reading. Happy holidays. Sincerely, the Unknown Ronan. Do you have any Christmas or holiday traditions?
I have quite a few. There's a bunch of random things that I will watch throughout December.
Okay.
I'll watch the episode for the Real Ghostbusters called Xmas Marks the Spot, where they capture the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future.
Oh.
I'll also watch the Superman, the Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman Christmas episodes.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of them on there where Howie Mandel plays Mixel Spitlick in one of them.
Okay.
And George Jefferson plays Toyman.
That's interesting.
I also watch Christmas with the Joker, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Scrooged, of course. And Batman Returns. I love watching Batman Returns in December.
Yeah, that technically takes place around Christmas.
It annoys the shit out of people I know for some reason.
Oh, I remember this. This is the same studio that made that Mark Twain movie that had the horrifying Satan part in it. Guy looks like he's got poop on his face. Sorry.
I'll also now listen to the Spider-Man Christmas songs. That's good. Now has been added to my list of things to do at Christmas.
Okay.
Because they're fucking amazing.
So basically it's just kind of like a watch list, right?
Yeah, it's like a series of things. And I have a Festivus poll.
A Festivus what?
A Festivus poll.
Oh, yeah, the poll.
I have a poll.
Do you do the airing of grievances?
Sometimes.
My dad didn't know about Festivus, and we had to explain it to him this Christmas, and he was like, "Oh no, I want to do that next year." By the way,
feats of strength.
Yeah. By the way, I can tell you that for our Christmas dinner, we had a wildly fantastic spread this year. But one of the things that we did was we decided to spatchcock the turkey.
Oh.
Have you ever done that before?
No.
Do you know what that is?
No.
You take the turkey and you take a pair of poultry shears and you basically cut up one side of the spine and then you cut up the other side of the spine and then you take the spine out and then you flip the whole thing over and flatten it. So you basically have the two halves of a turkey that are now 100% flat. There's actually a really good Kenji Lopez alt guy is the guy that I watch a lot online. Like a turkey is so hard to cook because you're trying to cook into the middle of a ball, essentially, right? Like, and a roasting pan is like when you look at what a roasting pan looks like for a turkey, it's almost like it was designed to cook it wrong because the breast meat that dries out first is like exposed to the heat, like above the pan, and all the dark meat, which you're trying to cook like faster, is down in the pan, like being shielded from the heat coming in from the sides. So you can spatchcock a turkey. You just cut it. You take the spine and sorry, vegetarians. You cut up the spine and you boil it for the stock for broth or for gravy later on.
Yeah.
But then you take the turkey, you mash it flat. You take a rack and put it on top of a sheet, and underneath the sheet you put aromatics. So carrot, celery, onions, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Put the turkey on top of it. You cook a full-on turkey in like 90 minutes because you're just blasting this turkey, and then all the drippings that are coming out are going into the bottom of the pan. And when you get done, you use while you're cooking it, you can use the spine and the giblets, if you have any, to essentially boil into a base that you then use all of the aromatics and the juice that is fallen out of the turkey. You add that back into the gravy, and then you can put it on the top. The only thing is that you don't get like a big turkey that you can put on the table, right?
Oh, okay.
Because you've got two parts for turkey, you kind of cut it up and whatever.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, that shit is fucking delicious. And it's so easy to cook, man. And not only that, but like if you're a single person out on your own for the holidays, right? Like do that, freeze half the turkey, and then just cook a half a turkey, right? Because you're by yourself. You don't need a whole goddamn turkey, right? But we did that. My sister has fucking stuffing on lock, but you can find stuffing all over the internet. Tear up a bunch of bread. On Thanksgiving, we cooked a bunch of sausage, like Italian sausage, and then kind of basically put the cut up bread in there with some stuffing. You bake it, and it all gets all delicious. And then I actually made Gordon Ramsay's fucking Brussels sprouts, like because that's like a British Christmas thing is Brussels sprouts.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you get literal chestnuts, right? And if you want to know how to open a chestnut, you boil it first, and then you take it out. You can peel it. You get chestnuts, you chop those up. You get Brussels sprouts, you chop those up. It's basically just like a pan, and you put like you get pancetta. Do you know what that is?
Yeah,
it's like really thick Italian bacon, right? You cut that up into pieces. You throw the pancetta into the pan. All the grease is going to come out of that, and then you throw all these Brussels sprouts in, and you just kind of stir them around in all this grease, and then you throw in the chestnuts kind of right before you get done, because if you overcook chestnuts, they get really mushy, and then you squeeze in some lemon juice, and then grate some lemon zest on top of it, stir the whole thing up, put a bunch of salt on it, boom. But see, we had all of the extended family that is anywhere near where my parents live came to my parents' house for Christmas this year. So we had like a turkey and a ham and stuffing.
Oh, damn. And
like green bean casserole, which also, if you've never made green bean casserole, that shit's easy. Like really, if you try to make it fresh, no. But if you're if you're willing to just grab cans of green beans, it's like you just dump a bunch of cans of green beans into a casserole dish, mix in a bunch of cream and mushroom soup and a bunch of French onions, then you just put a bunch of French onions on the top and bake it for like 20 minutes. Boom, green bean casserole, done. and we just had the whole nine, just from top to bottom.
That sounds really nice.
Everybody was in the kitchen just doing stuff. I brought these Brussels sprouts out. They disappeared like in a heartbeat. And everybody was like, "These are amazing," and I'm like, "These are pretty good," but like, I can never like anything that I cook, Michael.
Well, that's
I'm like,
yeah.
I probably could have done this a little bit better. Like you boil the Brussels sprouts
because you're
first.
an artiste now.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to blanch them, where you boil something and then you put it into cold water really fast.
Oh, okay.
And if you do it with vegetables, they cook a little bit, but when you blanch them, then they hold their color. You can cook them somewhere else, but the color on them will stay like really vibrant. So instead of kind of cooking down into like a different. So anyway,
look at you, Mr. Artist.
All I did was watch Gordon Ramsay do it. I did what Gordon Ramsay did.
The fanciest thing I used to do, that my mom used to do, she doesn't do this anymore because she's not usually the one who cooks the turkey anymore. She used to inject the turkey with Sunny D.
Really?
Because it would keep it moist still.
Okay.
And also add this like orangey tang taste, and it was fucking amazing.
I don't know about the Sunny D. That's
it was just something she started doing one day, and I was like, I really like this, and she just kept doing it.
As far as family traditions go, my dad always watches It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas. This year, I think I managed to successfully lobby to make that a double feature of It's a Wonderful Life and Die Hard, because you can all go fuck yourself who don't like it. I think Die Hard's a Christmas movie. If you don't think it's a Christmas movie, then don't watch it in your house. And I'm going to watch it in my house because Hans Gruber, Merry Christmas, I got a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. I'm with it. I'm with it. That movie is really, I mean, like, as I watch it, the more years that I watch it, like, it's probably been, I think I watched it last Christmas, but I think it's been a whole year since I watched it. And then I watched it and I was just like, Die Hard's really starting to show its age a little bit. Like there's a lot of kind of strange stuff going on. I'll tell you what. What's his name? The guy that wrote it. He hates cops because all the cops in LA are incompetent, and so is the FBI. In that
They're
movie.
either really bad or they shot a kid at some point.
Right, right. Well, even Al Powell, you know, when he comes he doesn't start taking the situation seriously until John McClane drops a body on his car and shoots the crap out of it. Yeah. Yeah, like there's that one scene in Die Hard where the SWAT guys are getting ready to go in the door, and the guy pricks his hand on like a rose bush, and he's like, "Ow!" And I'm like, was that really necessary, John McTiernan? Like,
oh my god,
was it really necessary for you to be like, "Look at these LA pussies"?
It turns out one of my coworkers has an orange. Or not orange. She has a gray jacket that just says "ho ho ho." I have a machine gun on it, and I remember she walked by, and I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Or like, there's I was watching it again. The more I watch Die Hard, the more I've been picking stuff out. Like, John McClane seems like he's a fairly conservative dude. Like, he gets real mad about like. Okay, let's talk about Die Hard. We have a few extra minutes here. Let's talk about Die Hard for a couple minutes. Like, there's that part at the very beginning after he lands in L.A. and that woman like runs up and jumps and starts making out with her boyfriend, and he's just like, "Fucking California." I'm like, "What, man? You're happy to see somebody? It's Christmas time. You're at the airport. They're young people in love. You fucking repressed shit."
You're wondering why he is having troubles with his wife,
right? And, he's very cool with Argyle. Like, Argyle's really a personable guy in the car, but there's this weird scene where and watching it again kind of fresh and just watching, like, the relationship between the two of them. I think that when I originally watched it, like in the 80s and 90s, I didn't have any real frame of reference about male-female relationships. And also, it was the 80s and 90s, and things were different back then.
Yeah.
But, like, he comes to her office, and they're having this conversation, and she asks where he's staying, right? Like, he came to California to spend Christmas with his kids, and she asks where he's staying, and he's like, "Oh, my old captain retired out here. I'm going to stay with him." And she's like, "Oh, you're retired?" And she's like, "Well, and she asks where he's staying, and he's like, "Pomona." And she's like, "Oh, Pomona. Oh, you'll be in the car half the time. Tell you what, I got a spare room. It's already made up. The kids would love to have you there. Why don't you come by? It'll be a great time." And his response to her is like, "So I see you went back to using your maiden name." Like, she's like, dude, I was looking at this and I'm like, John, you're going to get she is extending the world's largest olive branch, and you're just like, in your face, bitch. like he's
out of nowhere too.
He's mean to her. Like she's really trying hard, and he just like smacks it down. John McClane sucks. He kind of sucks.
He's a pretty terrible person. Even like every single one, you're just like, John, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Even that part where he's in the vet and he's like, come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs. And it's like, it's not her fault. Why are you quoting her? It's like, man, that bitch invited me out to the coast for some laughs, and now I'm in a fucking air vet because terrorists took over. Come on.
And my shoes are gone because fuck her. It's like, none of that's her fault.
Right. Also, but you know what? It was strange because I don't think I ever got a sense of that. But then there's that scene where he calls Al and tells him that if he doesn't make it out, to go find her and tell her he was sorry and that he was wrong. And that part like really choked me up this time around, because you really do see it's kind of like a Christmas arc of like a shitty character, like kind of caring and like seeing what the world could be like, and he might die, and anyway, I think Die Hard's a great movie, and
it's a great Christmas movie.
I think everybody should watch it at Christmas,
as well as Batman Returns.
Yep. What were we talking? What was the question?
What's Christmas traditions?
Christmas traditions. Oh, my big one is we always read the night before Christmas as a family together.
Okay.
Before everybody goes to sleep. So that's really the big one. Outside of that, it's funny because up until this year was the first year, one of the things that we would do is we would always get up in the morning and we would have coffee cake and coffee for the adults, and then later on, as I became an adult, and then we would open presents, because the whole thing was that like my parents got up and they were just like, I fucking need some coffee. It's 5:30 in the morning, because we didn't want to, we didn't want to stay in bed. It's fucking Christmas. And then we'd open up presents, and then when we were done with that, everybody would make breakfast, and then as time went on, that morphed into making breakfast tacos.
Okay.
So we'd do fresh squeezed orange juice. My dad would make homemade refried beans, make breakfast tacos, and we'd eat breakfast tacos. But what we started to learn was that the breakfast tacos were so goddamn delicious that we would have breakfast tacos, and then I started to get to an age where I'm like, I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting up at like 9. So then it's like 11 by the time you're eating breakfast. And then 8 o'clock comes around and the turkey's ready. Everybody's just like, okay, all right. Nobody's really all that hungry. So this year we just skipped it.
Okay.
We ate coffee cake and had coffee, and we skipped lunch. And then by the time dinner came around, it's just like, fucking, where's that food? I will murder this turkey. But
there's one more tradition I guess I've had, but I haven't really done it in a long time, because it wasn't necessarily, because I'm not the kid anymore. I'm not like, it's all about the nieces and the nephews.
Yeah.
Which is when midnight happens, all of the presents get open.
Oh, really?
Because what's how we were. We like we would get there. I didn't do it this year because I'd work that day, but I would get home, or I would get home, or we would stay up Christmas Eve and just wait till like midnight, staring these fucking presents down.
Yeah.
Just going, the second that motherfucker changes, it's everybody's fucking game.
Oh, see, because it was different in my house, because presents didn't come out until Christmas, because that was a thing that my mom's parents used to do, where you go to bed on Christmas Eve, and we wake up on Christmas morning and come down, and there's a sea of presents around the tree that weren't there the night before. In fact, there was one year where I never fell asleep for very long. I do not know how my parents did this, but they crept into my room in the middle of the night and put a bunch of Christmas lights up in my room, so that when I woke back up, it was just like my room was lit up like the outside of a fucking house on Christmas, and I was just like, what? But
a lot of great Christmas traditions, though.
Yeah. And last but not least, Kate writes in to give me another reason to talk about food. So it says, Dear most enjoyable podcast on the internet, I raised my patronage. Thank you. You asked for more money, and I want to see Rage Select go on for as long as humanly possible. Maybe one day meet you in Austin. I'm a good chunk into my space book, and boy, howdy do I prefer reading books over social media, which is something I've talked about a lot in the past.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It's a hard habit to break, but reading my book over someone's dumb thought on Facebook is a good step. And I've been cooking up a storm in my kitchen these past few weeks. My question, what have you been cooking? Keep up the excellent content. Let's see how 2019 fares for us. Your little patron, Kate Josie. Kate's really taking all my advice. It's kind of weird having somebody listen to what I say.
It's kind of strange.
I usually just ramble for hours, and then I'm just like, well, that was a waste of time.
next thing you know, they're going to trip and break their ass. Who knows?
Yeah, don't break your ass. Be careful going down the stairs.
All over the place.
Have you cooked anything?
Tombstone pizzas, I guess.
Tombstone pizzas.
Honestly, my cooking time isn't as much as it used to be. Like when I was living in Del Rio, I used to cook a lot. But as I got older and I had more money, the more I was like, I just don't feel like doing anything. And so it just became a lot of like, I'm just gonna go order something. And if I cook something, it's just like meat that I got from HEB that I slathered in lemon pepper, and then threw into a tortilla, and then just went from there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I think that I did a thing. I cooked some steaks the other day, or I cooked one steak. I vacuum sealed all three. I bought 3 steaks and I vacuum sealed all 3 of them, and I cooked one of them. I need to cook the other 2. I think my big thing was on New Year's. I made so I sous vide pork chops with rosemary and salt and pepper, and finish them off. I got a cast iron skillet for Christmas that is actually made to be used on a ceramic heating element, like not a flame stove, but like because I have like one of those glass stove tops that has a heating element underneath it.
Okay.
It's made to heat up more evenly on there. So sous vide rosemary pork chops, and then just flip them over and sear them over there. They were really, really good. And then I used my Instant Pot to make black-eyed peas. Just soaked those and just basically sauteed a bunch of garlic and onion, and then threw the beans in with stock and a ham hock, and then just came back in a while and was like, okay, these are done. And then I made collard greens for the first time. I never made collard greens before. So I used, again, I think this was a Kenji alt or Lopez alt thing where you make pot liquor. Have you ever made this? Where it's like you take a pot and you fill it up with like, I think in this case it was like onions and garlic and salt and like chicken stock and then like 2 ham hocks.
Okay.
And you close it up. You bring it to a boil, and then you close it up, and you simmer it for like 2 hours, right? And then you take the ham hocks out, and what you've got left is what they call pot liquor, which is like it's like you can do it with water as well, but it's like you've just been simmering this pork, and it's been like onion and pork have been infusing into this liquid. So you've got this like super, super tasty liquid in there.
Oh.
And then you take the ham hocks and shred off the meat from them, throw away the fat cap and the bones, chop it all up real fine. You just take a lot of chopped up collard greens, put them inside of this liquid, put the meat back in with them, kind of stir them up and let them just reduce and reduce and reduce. And then when you get to the end of it, you just pour in like more salt for taste, and then like apple cider vinegar to make it like a little bit more sour, give it like a bam. So I did that. And then I had so many collard greens, I threw like half of them away because I was like, there's only so many collard greens one man can eat and still have his sanity left. So
my favorite thing about all of this, by the way, for you people, is the first time I met Jeff, he used his fridge so little that he had a pizza in there from like half a year ago in the beginning of the first Ragecast that got eaten by 2 drunk people, and it was amazing. But that's just how little he used his fridge. I remember I accidentally left a leftover here, and you didn't notice for like a week. So,
I didn't have any reason to open my fridge.
Exactly. He never touched his fridge. It was, and this is magical.
Well, it's funny because sometimes my fridge looks like it used to in the old days, because what'll happen is I'll buy food, but I don't keep my fridge stocked all the time. So it's like I'll buy food and then eat all my food, and then my fridge is empty for 2 days, and then I go to the store, buy a bunch more food. But like I don't keep leftovers for a long period of time. So like every Wednesday, it's like the goddamn purge night in my fridge. I'm just like, sorry, collard greens. Sorry, sorry, old bacon. You're out of here. Like, what's that? Is that mustard? Have I used it? Is it almost empty? Nope. Get the fuck out of here. So, yeah. I don't know. I also got for Christmas. I got a waffle maker that's like the teeny little waffle maker for making like little waffles.
That's so weird. Kind of neat though.
And I've got just about everything I need to make waffles, except I need milk, and I don't have any milk, so I don't keep milk around. When I need to cook with milk, I buy like one of those little like school lunch milks, and I use it because I don't need a gallon of milk. I don't drink that much fucking cow juice. I don't
My
need all
roommate
that
does
shit.
that sometimes. He buys those like 20-ounce-ish ones.
If you go to the
gas
HEB
stations
here, like they've got the little, it's like a bottle, like a plastic bottle, and they're like 5 for $2 or something, and it's just like, oh, okay, so one of these is like 45 cents or whatever. It's math. So, and that's it. That's it. We're done. Another successful podcast where I got to ramble about food and other stuff. I guess I didn't ramble about Dark Souls. I could do that for a little while before we're done. But
it's like the Dark Souls of cooking.
It's like the Dark Souls of cooking. There you go. Got it in there. Michael, tell the people where they can find you on the internet. I don't know how they would have gotten to the end of this and not known, but it never hurts. Never hurts to cover your bases.
You can find me on oneofus.net as well as Geek Bombast with John Sitton.
Yeah, you're all over the place.
Yeah, I try to.
just bebopping all over the world. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. And mail at rageselect.com is the email address. Thanks to everybody for listening. 2019 looks like it's going to be fucking rad. So
yeah,
I can't wait. Let's do it. 2019.